How you doing? Where you been? Who you doing? Welcome to another episode of Guys We Fucked.
It's the Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
Welcome to our show.
Are you going to be in Los Angeles on Saturday, May 11th?
At 9:45 p.m.
At the Regent Theater?
Well, we're going to be there, so we hope that you're there too.
And we hope that you've bought a ticket so far ago.
Yes.
So long ago.
Yes. If this is for a live recording of the Guys We Fuck podcast, which is the same podcast that you're already ingesting right now.
And you know what?
Means you like it.
If you're tired of the spiel is going to go up until we sell
We're going
out.
to keep doing this.
So if you want
this
us
makes
to
you
shut the
upset,
fuck up, you buy tickets.
Yeah, this is a threat that this will continue happening until our appearance at the Netflix Is a Joke Festival is sold out. Because as we've told you time and time before, we're already on such thin ice with Netflix.
Honestly, it feels like a pity casting.
I guess someone canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
we were made aware of in a timely manner. So I don't.
Right, yeah.
So it does
like everybody
feel,
had their announcements, although we didn't get our graphics until later. But
they were working on the assets. I don't know why it took so long, but probably because I just kept sending them weird photos. But that's because I didn't like the ones they were picking. I didn't like the ones they were picking.
No.
Okay.
When people pick your photos for you, especially if it's a guy, it's like, how do you think that's a good photo?
It's like they sat under you and took a picture from the perspective of your chin.
It was as if Bill Maher chose the photo.
Oh my God. That guy.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we didn't promote our appearance.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Did
we
you want to
shouldn't.
promote it?
I mean, whatever. It's out there.
I also think we should read in the coming episodes, not now because this is a really long email, but like more of those comments. Funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And I'd love to be...
Not a lot of overlap between Guys We Fucked and Bill Maher fans. Who would have thought?
What? That's crazy.
Really kind of crazy.
Yeah. I love being at a place where a negative... On my Instagram, I won't let things go only because like I want people to be better. But like something like Bill Maher's YouTube comment section, I'm like, this is hilarious.
Well,
like
the more comments just jog the algorithm. So I go, please,
keep
say
going,
whatever
baby.
you want.
Keep it going.
This is great. I love it.
If you want to email us, it's sorryboutlastnightshow@gmail.com. Today's subject line: I'm low contact with my mom, and I don't know why. You probably have a clue. Hi, Corinne and Krystyna. Longtime fucker, love the show. 28-year-old female living in Australia. Hello. This email is so long, I'll get to the point. Well, it's also still long, but that's okay. I wanted to read it. I have a super complicated relationship with my mother, and it feels like it's really coming to a head now. I take in so much childhood trauma content online, which be careful about that. Look at other things. Look at cartoons, something that makes you happy that doesn't make you think about this shit. You can't think about it all the time.
And also be careful who you're taking it in from, because a lot of these people are psychos and idiots.
Yeah, and they're still traumatized and haven't really done the hard work.
Yeah.
When you're working through trauma, you kind of have to go through the desert, go to the desert and die and come back in a way. It's not necessary for every single person, but it is the most potent way to get through it. I take in so much childhood trauma content online and weird mother-daughter relationship content, and I've never found someone who has the issue I'm having with my mother. I distance myself from her. I'm low contact at this point, and I feel super uncomfortable with her, but I don't have a good reason why. Well, the body keeps the score, okay? Wish it didn't, but it does. So maybe you feel unsafe for reasons that your conscious brain can't identify. I'm an only child. Mom and dad are still together and have a good relationship. They both worked full time from when I was 6 months old. I never experienced anything super traumatic in my upbringing. My parents are very close with their respective families, and I'm the odd one out. Maybe a past life thing. I want to preface this by saying I remember barely any of my childhood. Okay, that is a huge red flag.
Not good.
So children have this kind of brilliant mechanism that they are all born with, where every child looks up to their mother and father like they're God, right? Because they're the ones responsible for your food and shelter and clothing and love and everything you need, your parent has to give you. And so sometimes when the parent is abusive, the child will internalize that and go, well, there must be something I'm doing to make them like this, so that you can physically handle the fact that the person who's supposed to raise you is dangerous. A child would basically die if they really came to that realization at a young age with a young nervous system. So keep in mind that if you don't remember your childhood and you have big blackout moments, that is a sign that you gotta go to therapy. Mainly from negative things. Okay, so I want to preface this by saying I barely remember any of my childhood, not a lot from teenagehood, mainly the negative things. So I'm working with what I can for the background. My mom and I fought quite a lot when I was a teenager, probably a normal amount for what I can compare to my female friends. We argued mostly about two main things: studying, and cleaning. My mom worked hard to move up in the corporate ladder in her career, but it took her a long time as she didn't go to university. When she was in her 40s, she would come home from a long day of work and have to spend the evening studying to get promotions. I remember her saying she didn't want me to be doing this when I was her age. She really wanted me to get good enough grades to go to university. I had no clue what I wanted to do growing up and wasn't super academically inclined. She made more money than my dad, who worked a blue-collar job and had no interest in moving up a ladder. She was always getting on at me to study, do my homework in the evenings after school. I tried, but I was not really motivated, and oftentimes I would sit at the dining table with all my books out for hours, getting nothing done. Side note, last year I was diagnosed with ADHD, which explains so much about this and why I couldn't clean. The cleaning arguments were about me not cleaning up after myself around the house or not doing chores that were assigned to me. I was definitely hard work as a teen. I remember us having screaming matches at each other that always started with either cleaning or studying issues. This went on from around the age of 14 to 17. There were a few core arguments that are burned in my memory. I dyed my natural hair from blonde to brunette with a home dye kit when I was home alone at the age of 12 or 13. I mean, that's like a typical, yeah. You get into trouble when you're that age because you don't know. My mom had explicitly told me no every time I asked to dye my hair, and one day I just did it myself. She was so apocalyptic? Is that what's just apoplectic?
I don't know what that word is.
I'll
look it up.
Apoplectic.
I don't know what that is.
I'm like, I don't know many words, but I'll know if that's the word. APOPLECT.
Oh, overcome with anger.
Oh.
Indignant.
Wow.
Oh.
I learned a new word
Well, I'm
today.
like, it has to be a real word because it's not underlined. I knew that. So.
Right. She was so apoplectic. Wow. Love that word. She couldn't speak. She didn't speak to me for a week. That stings. Had that. I remember thinking she must have told my dad not to speak to me either because my dad was always pretty chill and wouldn't give a shit if I dyed my hair, and he didn't speak to me for a couple days either.
Move.
That's such, yes. And it's like when a parent gives the child the silent treatment, fuck you. Okay? I hate that. The second is when I was 19, I was on vacation without them visiting family abroad when I decided to book a tattoo appointment with an artist I'd followed for ages. I knew she didn't approve of tattoos. Well, you're 19, so fuck it. So I thought I was being mature when I gave her a heads up. Nope. Message about the 2-inch tattoo on the back of my ankle the night before the appointment. I woke up to an essay from her about how it was the worst thing I could do. Some highlights. Quote, "You have the ability to excel in the highest level. A lot of that is to do with your beauty." So that's a weird thing to say. Another quote, "If you wanted to chop all your hair off, it would be catastrophic, but it's not permanent." Another quote, "You're perfect. Just don't spoil it. Respect my wishes. People with tattoos look trashy and always regret it, etc." She also got my cousins, my grandma, my aunt, and a family friend to send me messages urging me not to do it. This is fucking psychotic.
Yeah,
Your mom's fucking psychotic. Our moms should be friends.
This is really weird behavior.
Yeah.
Just like as someone who is coming from not weird behavior, I'm going to tell you, this is not, I know, like when you started the email being like, nothing really traumatic for my
It's always, dude.
This is insane.
It's people with the worst childhoods, almost always. They're like, my childhood was normal. I don't remember any of it, but it was
That's
normal.
why everyone always questions mine. I go, no, but mine seriously was. I go, I don't have time. And I was like, I don't have the time to discuss this any further because this is actually crazy.
Yeah. And there's nothing like seeing your mother's behavior reflected in the eyes of your friends and loved ones around you. And then for the first time, you're like, wait, is that fucked up? Was that fucked up the whole time? Yep, it was. And third, I was booking a solo trip to travel to California when I was 21. I was going to stay in a hostel in San Diego and do a little bit of traveling while I was there. She was on board at first, trying to push through her anxieties. You're fucking 21. Like, she's putting her tit in your mouth. But eventually, 2 weeks before the trip, she broke down crying and begged me not to go because she was so anxious and thought I was naive and people would take advantage of me.
Like her?
Yeah, exactly. She's fucking projecting. I decided to cancel the trip. You were young. Because she was in such a state until I came to my senses and decided to have the adventure over to protect her feelings. Okay, so how old are you now?
21.
21. Oh, you're still 21 now?
Oh, no.
Oh,
28
now
in
now.
the story.
So 7 years ago. Okay. Keep in mind, these are the big three I can remember. So technically, these could have been the most traumatic points in our relationship. Nope. If you can't remember them, they weren't. But as an adult now, I don't know if all these things listed above warrant a low contact, almost no contact at this point, relationship.
Well, the things are, so if these are there are three things that stand out, these behavior, like these can't be isolated because these to me show so much more about who she is and how she interacted with you as a child. Like
she thinks she's like, you're an extension of her.
Like that, like the tattoo and the hair, like her over obsession with your aesthetic. Like that something like that would never be isolated. That would leak into every part of your relationship. There's no way it couldn't.
And let me tell you something, like even just a overly critical parent, that chips away at your soul. And maybe logically you love them in quotes, but really your body is reacting to. So that's why when you said you're low contact and don't know why, I'm like, it's your body telling you, nah, not this bitch. The objective positive things. She worked a lot to provide financially for the family. She got me enrolled in extracurriculars. She got me tutors for the subjects I was struggling in. She got me nice things for birthdays and Christmases. Okay,
well, she's obsessed with you being perfect. She says that to you already.
Yeah. She is objectively a very caring person. Well, as long as you're doing everything she likes. Her family really appreciates her. She's very generous and selfless. Also note here, a lot of times, like a mother can be one way to her daughter and then be a total angel to everybody else. Okay? Sometimes that happens. In hindsight, I started feeling distance from her around age 18 and withdrawing from a relationship subconsciously. I was polite and still living at home, but I didn't go to her for advice or for a casual chat. I spent a lot of time in my room after college. This went on for years. I honestly can't remember much of our relationship at this time, but I wasn't spending loads of time at home, social life, going out, etc. I met my long-term boyfriend at age 19, so I was spending a lot of time with him too. By the time she begged me not to go to California, it must have been bad because I remember her sobbing, saying, "I wish you knew me when I was your age." There it is. We would have been best friends.
Dude, there's nothing worse than the best friend mom is such people think it's a good thing. It's like a very bad thing.
It's very bad. Do you know my mom and I had best friend necklaces?
Krystyna.
I gave them to her.
Chris,
I was like 26.
How old were you? What? When you were 26?
Yeah, I knew it would make her happy. I didn't know, but at the time...
Did you feel like she was your best friend? Because I mean, I do feel like my mom is one of my best friends, but I would never give her best friends now.
No, I did not feel she was my best friend in any way, but I was hiding it.
But like, it was when I was an adult, you know? So like if you become best friends as adults, that's fine. But like if anytime during your adolescence you feel like your mom is your and not in like a cutesy way, it's hard because it's like
Rory and Lorelai, like that wasn't as toxic.
I'm on the third time around watching that series. It's actually very toxic. Yeah, they're not speaking right now. It's toxic. Yeah, it's when you actually when you like go to the inner depths of that show the way I've gone, every watch I go, this is actually wildly unhealthy.
By the time I moved out of home by age 22, I would do the duty visit at home every few weeks, and I always felt uncomfortable around her at that point. This is exactly, well, you're younger than me when you started experiencing this, but I was basically, my body couldn't take being around my mother, and I felt really guilty about that, and then I would start being a bitch to her, and she would be like, "Why are you being a bitch?" And she wasn't wrong, like I wasn't being polite, but it was because she had chipped away at my soul and my bones from day one since then that I wouldn't allow myself to see it. So I think you're just starting to allow yourself to see these things. It was like she switched and became a different person. Nah, you're probably just realizing she sucked. She was overbearingly caring and helpful and affectionate. I found it needy and weird, and it made me pull away more. Yeah, that'll do that. This dynamic continued over the years, and I guess it became more and more awkward because I just felt no connection to her. Because she's not coming from a place of love and actually caring about you. I felt uncomfortable with her in person, less and less inclined to reply to her messages. I can see logically that she was working so hard to be the main financial provider for the family. She admitted in one of our 2 deep conversations that Dad wasn't a very active parent, and she felt she had to be the disciplinarian and the emotional support and everything else. Okay. I can attest to this. As I've said before, Dad was chill. Dads are always chill. And I have no problem talking to him now. Ironic.
I will step in here and say I think part of growing up is also there's usually one parent who's doing more work, and as an adult, as a kid, you don't see that. It just seems like one parent is like stressed and mean and one parent's chill. Know that the chill parent is most likely not doing enough work in the parenting relationship. So like you do have empathy towards the parent who had to take
Australia in 2022. She has gotten more and more needy and clingy, sending me super long messages about how she doesn't cope well without me. Codependent. How she thinks I'll never come home, that she wants to know why I'm like this. Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, the why I'm like this. I feel like that your mom sent you like that exact message.
Yep. Oh, man. Why I don't speak to her. We have had 2 big conversations about our relationship in the last 4 years. All I can tell her is what I've said above, and that therapists have said she didn't meet my needs as a child. She can, don't try to make her understand that.
And also, like, just like that, there is a part of me that even though I am pro-therapy, saying what some therapist who's known you for like a year has to your parent who's known you, it feels like a fucking fuck you. If I was a parent and some fucking, I even know, like, so I even had an ex-boyfriend who I knew obviously super well, and his therapist is sending him home, his therapist of like 3 weeks sending him home with shit about me. I was like, I will go and fuck your therapist up. And I said that to him. I said that to him, and actually was so vindicated because he came back to me and he goes, yeah, that therapist actually sucks. I go, well, good. Because I said, I have a message for your therapist. Tell her to go fuck herself. And I said, literally, please tell her that. And I think maybe he did. Fisher. I hope he did. I said, she's unqualified. Get the fuck out of your face. Just, you know, again, put yourself, again, I'm not saying don't, but I just think that we have to really work the empathy in some ways.
Yeah, I will say when I worked with a trauma specialist therapist for a really long time. And when I was talking to her about my mother, I was still on the cusp of like, well, this wasn't traumatic. It was, she was like, your mom tried to kill herself every time you had a milestone. And I was like, yeah, but she's ill. And it's like, she still didn't paint my mother as an evil person. She wasn't even like, you should go no contact. She didn't say, tell me what to do.
Sure.
She just recognized that like, it's important to need for your mother to see and hear you as a child. And it's also important to recognize the ways that she damaged you. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of layers here.
Well, worse, she wasn't actually even going to kill herself. She was just trying to take your spotlight away from you when you reached your milestone. And she go, but I reached a milestone too. You know, that's like a boyfriend who starts a fight on like an important night of your life.
Yeah, totally.
That's that same behavior. It's oh, this is too much about you. Back to me.
Yep, dude. Yep.
Obnoxious.
She takes accountability for being so volatile with me as a teen, about how controlling she was. Well, that's really nice that she took accountability. She truly apologizes and doesn't try to deflect or deny how I feel about things. That's fantastic. She and I both understand how those seemingly minor things have caused me to feel so uncomfortable around her. Most people just suck it up and speak to their parents. My, quote, trauma is not even anything compared to actual abuse or neglect or manipulation. It doesn't matter comparing traumas. Yes, we can objectively say that, you know, getting raped as a child is worse than your mom being bipolar. On paper, sure. But it could also actually affect a person a similar way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's pain. You were going through pain from an abusive parent. Yes, there are layers, but I just want to remind you of that. I don't understand why I have such a visceral reaction to her. I've tried to suck it up and call her / see her so many times, but after a couple of minutes, I feel so withdrawn into myself. I just want it over and can barely speak. Speaking my language, girl. I feel I'm unfortunately a lot like her in my relationship with my partner too, controlling and anxiously attached. These are things that's great to be aware of that, because these are things that can absolutely be worked on. It's not a death sentence. I'm open to hypnotherapy to see if something truly traumatic happened that I just don't remember, but I honestly can't see that being the case. Well, if you don't remember years of your childhood, I think that's a clue that something's there.
Well, and also before we get to hypnotherapy, to me, the first thing that I'm saying is like, can you go to couples therapy with your mom? Like if she's at least acknowledging it, like, and she, you know, it seems like she's like being semi-receptive.
Right.
Why not go to Zoom therapy together, like the way you would to couples therapy? Like to me, it's like any relationship that you want to work on, if the other person will show up with you, why not?
Yeah, and Zoom's a great idea because then you don't have to be in the same room with her.
Well, they have to live in different countries anyway. But yeah.
Oh, right, because UK is Australia.
But yeah, like, I mean, and at least, you know, because it seems like you're not ready to like completely give up. And like for me with like, you know, relationships, I'm like, just leave immediately. But like, this is the only mom, so like, I would say I would try a little harder with this one before I decide not to talk to them. And if ultimately that's the best decision for you, that's the best decision for you. But like, yeah, why not go to fucking whatever they call mom-daughter therapy? I mean, don't call it couples therapy. That's a whole another therapy session. But
yeah, well, it's family counseling.
There you go, family counseling.
skin it, burn it. I can't, like, it was so, and I was still confused. I'm like, what is wrong with me? How any sort of relationship feels awkward, forced, unnatural, and how every interaction is just painfully uncomfortable. I can only bear to message her maybe once every month or two. She's calling me every day, even though I asked her if we could only have a monthly message back and forth to update each other on what's going on in our lives. She doesn't fucking respect your boundaries, and that's it's not enough for her. She wants more. I avoid seeing messages from her, avoid talking to her, avoid even my lovely grandma and dad's messages because the whole family is so stuck on why I won't speak to her, and I know they will ask about it. Yeah, I have a very small family that I don't talk to some of them because of that. I don't know if I even want a relationship with her, because I can manage my life just fine without her, and contact with her is so painful. If I do decide to spend thousands of dollars on therapy just to be able to have contact with her, it wouldn't be for my benefit, it would be for hers. I'm glad you said that. Any insight would be appreciated. Love, a loyal fucker.
I don't think it would be thousands of dollars. Just financially, it depends. I mean, like, do you have insurance? You know,
right?
Again, like if you already made the decision, you've already made the decision.
Yeah, and I do agree with Corinne. I think it's, and as somebody who's not, I go no contact with both of my parents. I think that I had to do everything for me personally. I had, like, the last time I saw her, I went down to their place, technically mine too, because I own half of it. That's where all my money is. Where I try to have a conversation, and I told myself, I prepped myself very, very, very intently that I wanted to be calm, I wanted to be kind, I wanted to listen, and I wanted to speak with integrity and not stray from my own morals and values. Meaning, I didn't want to act like a bitch. I didn't want to yell. I made many rules with myself. I stuck to all those rules. I drove home, scream crying the whole way. It just wasn't. Her head was so up her own ass of, how can I be the terrible mother? She just needed me to validate that she was a good mom. But it's like, well, you weren't. You tried your best. You absolutely tried your best, and I really appreciate that. Sometimes people's best suck. And the thing that really breaks my heart is, you can still do a really shitty job as a parent, but if you own up to it and you say, I fucked up, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope you forgive me. There's no hope. So your mom seems to have times where she's recognizing her bad, but I will say this, and my mom did this to me, it could be a fucking trap, because she says, I'm sorry, and then you go, okay, I will have a conversation.
That's why I think a mediator should be there in a therapist. Yeah. Because I agree with you. Like, yeah, but that I agree with that. That's the same thing that I saw as like this like little morsel of hope, was the fact that she did acknowledge that she was not a good parent, and she apologized for it. She like held space for her daughter, and
that's huge. That's absolutely huge. But yeah, I've read enough about healthy interactions with parent and child where I'm like, is this what parents are supposed to do? God damn. And I think it's a big, huge blinking red light that your body doesn't want anything to do with it. To me, that's,
yeah, I guess my only hesitation is, it just seems like it's become more and more popular to like not talk to your parents, to the point where it's like, I feel like,
really?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know anybody.
It's like when she talks about the online space, like it's really common. You'll see influencers all the time talking about it, right? And so, not that it's like never. Of course, sometimes it's like the best solution, but I feel like in modern society, and I think a lot of it is because of politics. We have, like, younger generations have been taught or trained or like given the okay that when like a relationship isn't going well, just to detach, and like, or even when there's this notion of like, if you don't agree with your family's politics, don't show up to Thanksgiving or Christmas, and like, I just don't think that's the way to go about life. To just because to me that's like this, excuse the term, but that's the snowflake approach to only being around people who share the same values and opinions as you. And I mean, you guys fucking are. The whole show about doing literally not that. And so I'm on the extreme side of it, but I just like it's you have to take giving up a singular relationship in your life. Like, this is the only mom you'll ever have, right? So like, just take that seriously. Yeah. That's all that is, and I think you are. But I would give it a little bit like more thought, especially because at the beginning when you said like, I've been taking in a lot of online content.
Yeah.
Maybe stop that.
Yeah, and I think that I also think that I feel down to travel to them to explain myself calmly and confidently, and I got the same things back, and I got the no recognition, and I'm like, okay, all right. And then, you know, by the time your mom says, well, if I kill myself, it's your fault, and you're like, that's a wrap on you, Nance. It's a wrap on you. So it is helpful to like do the best that you can, and then you'll feel much more secure in your decision. If you don't want to cut contact, you'll feel like, yep, that is absolutely the right choice.
Sounds like she's got like a very fear-based. The mom has a very fear-based sense of life.
Sure.
Just the controlling. Don't be the position I was in. I was kind of had a similar relationship with my dad for a few years in high school, and like kind of like.
What would he do?
It was like very much so like every conversation revolved around like you're never gonna make money, all that type of stuff. And then honestly, like how I like got past that is like in a great relationship now. It's like I just started like trolling him, and every
Your
time.
methods are very interesting.
But like every time he would try to like take the conversation in that direction, I just kind of like point out like how silly he's being. Yeah, exactly. And it definitely helped. As far as like it's like you realize this is so ridiculous for you to say this to me. It's like you don't do that quickly. I also like started making more money.
Yeah, parents are like, and I know it's coming from a place of protection, but like even my parents were like this, like overly obsessed with like, oh no, you're never gonna make money, and I go, listen, I know you're not inside my wild mind, but I'm like, listen, I'm doing fish. I get what needs to be done. I handle it all. So just everyone fucking relax. Yeah, I've been like this the whole goddamn time. Like it's just stop. Yeah, I mean, whatever's gonna happen.
Parents are gonna worry about you, and of course you're gonna be control freaks because they probably don't want you to be hurt like they've been hurt. But it's like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, mother's definitely coming from a place of absolute fear. It's driving her every reaction with you. Not respecting the boundaries. The thing, like, to me, I'm like, was she? I don't know what her relationship was like with her mother. Something there, you know. We had my mom on the podcast years and years and years ago. She told us that she was sexually assaulted when she was 11.
Sure.
And that made me go, oh, that's why you left the restaurant when I was 16 after asking if I was a virgin, and I didn't want to lie to you. So I said, no, I'm not a virgin. You just fucking left and abandoned me and didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. It's not cool, but now I have some understanding as to why that happened. You just didn't want me being a sexual person. You were fearing that I was going to get assaulted, and that you were reacting to the idea of your daughter being sexually assaulted. And then, of course, no reaction's going to be good. That's the place it's coming from. So yes, your mom is operating out of fear, but it's also her responsibility to get to the bottom of it.
And I mean, just in general, I've been thinking about this concept a lot. Like, embarking on parenthood in general means you're basically setting yourself up to be a failure, right? Because even if overall, your child has a good experience, like, there's going to be a way in which you fail that child. And, like, I mean, that's kind of on my long list of disinterest in having a child. It's like, why would I just start a project that I know in some way I'm going to fail at? This doesn't sound good at all. This sounds terrible. I'm going to create someone and go through like all this pain and like physical trauma so that someone can be paying someone every week to talk about a way in which I failed them. I'm good. No, thank you. I'm good.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's good luck. You're gonna figure it out. Guys, after you come see us on May 11th, well, this is before May 11th. If you're in Springfield, Missouri, raise the roof and come see me headline the Blue Room at March 22nd and March 23rd. You can sign up for my Patreon. There's a $22 level for that once a week. You can get on Zoom with me. We'll all chat about our problems. And I really love these Zooms. I love them so much. I love hearing about other people's issues. I love that it's a group of strangers that cut all the small talk and just get right to it. I really appreciate that. I hate small talk because it makes me cringe. And it makes me feel more connected to humanity. I really like those Zooms. So you can sign up for that. There's also a $5 a month level where you can just listen to the audio from those Zooms. And my other podcast, it's a solo podcast called Voices in Our Heads. I'm doing a deep dive on just means supercharged self-healing. I'm reading a couple pages of a podcast episode in each chapter, and I'm continuing those readings on the Patreon so that you can listen to both day of if you want. $5 a month. It's patreon.com/Krystyna Hutchinson.
the Eye of the Tiger tour, my tour for 2024, has officially been announced. If you didn't already hear, Chloe LeBranch will be featuring on all of these dates. We kind of did the last trial gig in Washington, D.C., and it was so fun. It went swimmingly. So here, get a pen, get a piece of paper, write this in your iPhone, pull the car over. You're going to want to be at these cities. A lot of these are one-nighters, so buy these tickets sooner rather than later, because most of them, I'm not adding anything because I got to be somewhere the next day, all right? Tampa, Florida, April 17th. Miami, April 18th. Atlanta, April 19th and 20th. Columbus, Ohio, April 25th. Raleigh, North Carolina, April 30th. Philadelphia, May 1st. Boston, May 2nd. Portland, Oregon, May 14th. San Francisco, May 15th. Sacramento, May 16th. Seattle, May 17th. Houston, Texas, June 27th. Austin, Texas, June 28th and 29th. And Salt Lake City, Utah, September 26th. Tickets available at CorinneFisher.com. And also, if you're on Instagram, you can just go to the Linktree link in my bio. My handle is PhilanthropyGal. And of course, you can listen to my weekly news and politics podcast, where we try to find more similarities than differences between the right and the left. And that's called Without a Country. Every Wednesday night, those episodes drop on YouTube and everywhere you listen to podcasts. It's extremely fun. You know, check out my Katie Britt response to response. It's been pretty fun. Eric, are you going on the road? You are? Where? What?
Plano, Phoenix, and Minneapolis this summer. So,
I feel like if you left that as a voice message, it would say in parentheses on Apple, low confidence.
I feel like I get that vibe off a lot. It's just because I'm
Tired?
lazy talking.
Yeah. I mean, you're overworked. You're tired. We'll get back to
I'm
you.
not even tired. I got a bunch of sleep last night. I slept on the plane, and then I slept all night. Yeah.
You're over 6 feet tall. How good can your plane sleep be? Pretty good?
It was great.
Really? Wow. Oh, I'm proud of
I
you.
didn't sleep the night before, and I had 40 milligrams of 9 and 6 hours.
Is that a lot? Yeah.
40 milligrams?
What's a normal amount?
10.
Oh, Eric.
10 to 20 maybe.
Eric Downey Jr.
I
over
would do
there.
like a 5 milligram, and I smoke weed every day.
Oh.
Edibles. Everybody's different with edibles, though.
Oh.
And you're a tall guy, I guess, so about 40.
Whoa.
That's wild, but hey, it affects me.
Whatever you do, you do. All right.
I guess I have like a sex tip.
Okay.
Because I'm fucking all the time. It's a huge thing. No, something that I realized I'm very simple thing to do that like really puts you in the moment. Just fuck a little slower. Like just like really slow.
This is because you're in love. If you're not in love, do not do this. I will call the police.
No, but meaning like, okay, so if he's on the bottom
Yeah.
and I'm on top, which
Yeah.
is my favorite position.
Yeah. It's a good one.
If you go really slow,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's so much hotter. It feels so much better. It's wild. Never thought to do it.
Really?
I was always like,
you never thought to do it?
like really slow? It's
Yeah.
it's like teasing yourself with a dick. It's fucking.
Yeah, no. Great if you love the person. Horrifying if it's casual sex.
Oh yeah.
Bone chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been done to me.
Yeah, I guess if there's no
Oh,
don't do that.
I'm having
But
a flashback.
I'm sorry. If you're in a relationship, let's just save it for relationship sex tips. Just go really slow. It's crazy how it makes a huge difference. It's a totally different type of sex. Totally different type of sex. Yeah, but even more than it just physically feels good. It's just so much hotter. I couldn't believe I've been doing this all the time.
Well, could that be under the umbrella of tantric? Just because
I guess so. I've been wanting to get into that because I'm very curious.
it just seems like who has the time?
I know.
Sting was doing it because he was already famous.
Yeah, he had time.
He had time.
He has his assistants to all that shit.
Right. You could have
He's gotta
tantric
live up
sex
himself.
when you have an assistant.
Yeah, he's got to wash himself the clips.
in it.
I was supposed to get these nails fixed days ago, and I'm like, I don't want to sit still. I can't. Sorry. It's gonna be like this. Yeah.
But yet I want to do podcast. Why don't you listen to a podcast?
It's rude.
Everyone does it. They don't want to talk to you. They want to talk shit about you, and they like when your headphones are in.
Oh yeah,
so they can be like, look at this fucking girl with the mustache or whatever. We're like your old joke. Yeah, Krystyna doesn't have a mustache. Everyone.
I do. Yeah, when I see other girls there on their headphones, like they're talking to somebody on the phone.
No, they're talking on a phone. They should be executed.
But
that's
when they're talking. And it's on speaker.
No, that's...
I'll just look at the bitch next to me in the nail chair, talking on speaker, and I'm like, how do you sleep at night?
No, that's crazy.
How do you fucking sleep at night? If you're...
Apologizes profusely for his family, but nothing changes about how he responds when we're in the moment. I'm curious about each of your experiences with your partner's family. I don't hang out with my partner's families. You guys are just like, you guys are living this life.
Welcome to Guys We Fuck,
The anti-slut shaming podcast.
Yo, you having sex?
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson. I'm Corinne Fisher. Bring us your slutty, your horny, and your shame.
Hey, you a slut?
Yes.
Let's talk about fucking.
Hey, fuckers. How you doing? Where you been? Just clip your fingernails. Make sure you floss. Welcome to another episode of Guys We Fuck.
It's the anti-slut shaming podcast. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
I was going to say this Thursday, and I'm like, nope, this is going to come out after that. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I was so excited. Well, it's going to come out a day after for Luminary subscribers.
Well, if you weren't there,
man, that show was great.
It was so good.
Man, that Midnight Theater show was so great. Eric, you were phenomenal.
The craziest thing happened.
Yeah, it was so crazy. Eric, you handled it really well. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, you really are stable in your masculinity.
Yeah.
We appreciate that about you.
Oh, man. Feelings check-ins, everyone. This is what they're doing in school now. I read a whole article about it.
Feelings check-ins?
Yeah, feelings check-in, everyone. How's everyone feeling? Eric, what's your feeling? How are you feeling? You look pale. You're feeling vulnerable?
What's that? Well, no, the first answer revealed the truth. Why are you feeling vulnerable?
He said I'm feeling vulnerable. Yeah, what's making you feel vulnerable, Eric?
Sleep schedules.
You know,
how does that make you feel vulnerable?
I feel vulnerable when I'm tired too.
Like people can get more out of you?
Just like I'm so fragile. Like, like any little sound, I'm like,
Yeah, I'll just say yes to whatever.
Okay. Well,
uh-oh.
you shouldn't have let us know that.
Don't say that on the mic.
Also, I'm concerned about you, Eric. Do you I feel like I should like bring a little Tupperware of protein snacks for you every day when I show up. You're looking vampiric.
What'd you eat today?
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know it's annoying as a fellow pale person. I know it's very annoying to say, but like to the point where, like, I'm like, are you okay?
Sun
Did you wear
doesn't like you.
sunscreen?
No, I didn't.
Eric,
You're gonna learn some beauty tips from us.
yeah, Eric, that's not good.
You're not gonna come out of this experience unscathed.
She said I moisturize as if it's the same thing. I know they're both creamy,
Yeah.
but they're doing different change, but
Whatever it takes,
whatever
baby.
it takes. I don't really get bad seasonal depression because I actually like winter a lot. I love snow. I love cold. I didn't get to go skiing, which is a bummer. But yeah, no, I feel very, very, very good.
That's excellent.
I wish the subway was faster because I'm really trying to take less Ubers and they really test me every time. But other than that, it's fun. I like riding the subway. I think it's fun.
I love riding the subway.
It's a fun little adventure.
There's so many characters.
There are. They all smell oddly the same. There is a specific scent for specific
New York City
characters on the subway.
You can tell card away who's urinated their pants.
Yeah, can we scratch and stuff? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Very grounded. I was walking around thinking, I'm pretty sure I'm not afraid to die. And then I got a little wake-up call and I wasn't afraid. And I was like, well, all right, I'm not afraid to die. I was in the elevators in my building are notoriously awful, and they just dropped. They need to replace them. They are replacing them apparently, but it hasn't happened yet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so a lot of times it's a tall building, it's a high-rise, so it's long lines to wait. And I've never been in an elevator that had an issue, but I was with Kevin and we were going outside yesterday.
Yes.
And the elevator dropped what it felt like 5 floors, and then on the 15th floor, and then the doors opened. But when it was dropping, I was like, okay, all right, well, this is how we're gonna go. I had more stuff I wanted to do, but that's all right. We're gonna die gracefully. And then I didn't die, and I was like, well, damn, what a little gift I got today.
As a very own Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Oh yeah, but not as fun. Not as fun.
Aren't you supposed to elevate yourself with it so that you're not on the ground when it makes impact?
I believe so. So like jumping when it
Yeah, so you can be in the air when it hits because you can survive that.
Totally. But yeah, I didn't think that fast. But it did fall and it did crash, and I was like,
is anyone in the
just me in the
saying
elevator.
anything? Have they given you like a couple bucks off your rent?
So see, the thing is, I'm like, none of us would bitch if you gave us less rent. Like if you deducted our rent, we honestly wouldn't complain. I'll wait 20 minutes to get out of my house. Oh yeah. We're up to the stairs, but as I got off the elevator, there was a woman at the front
abusive ex 6 years ago. I had just started doing stand-up comedy when I found this podcast. I binged a bunch of episodes and then found the breakup episode.
The one heard around the world.
After hearing that episode, I had a little intuition that led me to creeping in my ex's desk and finding an engagement ring that he had gotten for me. I threw up. Then that's like literally the episode of Sex and the City. I threw up, then finally broke up with him for good the next day. Breaking up, because it's also good because you're like, victory. Now I can let it go. I won. Breaking up with him was something I tried to do almost 100 times beforehand. Hearing what both of you went through, especially Krystyna's relationship, ours was very similar in a lot of ways. Finally,
no, he probably wanted to a couple times, but yeah.
Anytime my boyfriends wanted to hit me, I go, yeah, I get it.
One time he sexually hit me, and I was like, was that meant for sex?
Oh, I actually remember that, yeah. Finally gave me the courage to do it. You both quite literally saved my life, and I am thankful for both of you every single day.
Wow.
So for all the chat about what to do when your friend or loved one is in an abusive relationship, the advice I'd say is to send your podcast. I wouldn't say that. Especially that. Can you imagine like you're getting the shit beat out of you and someone just sends you a podcast?
Listen to this breakup episode, girl. It's really good.
Yeah.
Neither of them are getting hit, but like you could probably relate it for something.
Yeah, I can see how it could be like you could send that as something in addition to actual help and an escape plan. And I love that it helped you so much, but please don't just send the breakup episode to people getting abused.
And just as a reminder again, letstalkaboutit.com has domestic abuse resources. Again, that's letstalkaboutit.com.
So to send the podcast, especially that episode, to them. Maybe it could be an eye-opener that it's possible to get out of a relationship when someone is feeling stuck. It definitely was for me. A few years after finally leaving my horrible ex, I met a British guy on Tinder.
What?
My profile said looking for a guy to go to emo concerts with.
Oh, that's fun.
You're asking for sad boys.
Yeah, I love a sad boy.
And he asked me to go to a concert. I said no, I had plans, LOL. The plans were being a ninth wheel to make homemade pizzas with my friends. Okay. I was on keto, so was making myself a keto pizza, plus all the couples were fighting. It was an awful night. So funny.
Not only did you go eat that keto pizza, mug sport.
Yeah, it was an awful night, and I decided to text that British guy from earlier. I sent him a text saying, I'll meet up with you if you can find a bar that's open till 2 a.m. I've never sent such a bold text in my life. I don't know who I thought I was, laughing my ass off. He found one, and we met up. I was in a hoe phase and had no clue what the date would turn into. Flash to 4 years later, the British guy I met that night is now my husband.
Oh my God, girl.
He was living in Boston on a traineeship visa when we met. We ended up living together during the pandemic before he had to leave and had the most magical time together. We had concerts in the living room, took my dog on adventures, made awesome art together, and genuinely had the best time falling in love.
Wow, girl, you had a good pandemic.
I know I sound annoying. Maybe it's not annoying, but he was truly the best man I've ever met. Yeah, I mean, like that's who your husband should be.
Yeah.
Everyone's husband should be the best man they've ever met.
That's very
It should
true.
be their favorite person. It should be someone who, like, all these things. Like, we're not going to think he's the best guy, most likely, but that's why he's not our husband.
Exactly. You married him.
Yeah, I hope that for everyone. He's so caring, thoughtful, and kind. He plays guitar, is super smart and driven, is fucking amazing at sex and makes me feel hot as hell, has a heart of gold, goes to every one of my comedy shows. That's much, a lot. But also doesn't want to try comedy, supports my YouTube ventures, is the biggest supporter of my career as a software engineer, and so much more. I know you've both talked about this, but as a female software engineer and comedian, it is extremely hard to find a man who isn't intimidated by that and can celebrate it. I guess the answer is the guy just has to be British. That's definitely not the answer.
No, there's American guys. There's at least one.
Yeah, plus he was raised by a single mom, which I think really helps. We have a partnership where we celebrate each other's passions and encourage each other to do what makes us happy, both inside and outside of our relationship. It's soulmate shit for sure. We did long distance for 2 years, but he finally moved to the U.S. last March from London. It was definitely a compromise of ending up here. Yeah, what city? Oh yeah, Boston. I like Boston a lot, but not better than London.
Yeah, London's amazing.
London's one of the best cities. It was definitely a compromise of ending up here, but he's always been so great about all of it and never made me feel shitty about moving from London to Boston, LOL. I usually feel super guilty regardless. London is so much cooler than here. Yes. Haha. Yeah, and also like London and Boston, if you're pursuing comedy, like pretty similar.
Yeah, that's true. Boston's good comedy.
Yeah, and London's good. Like you could have like just girl, you could have moved to London.
Yeah.
We've of course had ups and downs with long distance and now adjustments of living together full time, but it's so damn worth every second of the harder time. Thank you for changing and saving my life. If it wasn't for that episode, I don't know if I would have gotten the courage to leave my awful ex, and I really don't know if I'd even be alive to write any emails at all. He'd probably just be married to that guy and still be getting abused, unfortunately.
Yes.
Attaching pics of us, also Krystyna, you probably don't remember me, but I was on Glamour Puss ages ago, pre-pandemic, and when I did that show, I was fangirling the entire time trying to beat show.
Oh, yeah, I remember you. You were very funny. Good job.
Wait, is this the new husband? Or the husband?
Yeah. Yeah.
Piece of shit, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't tell who it was in that because he just looked like a man.
Yeah. That's very cute. Good for you, girl. Wow, that breakup episode was really...
And you know, that was during the time, I don't even know if it would have been that. It would have been great still, but like, thank God it was on video. I'm glad it's just audio. There's something special, something being audio only. Like, you take it in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm glad that episode lives on in so many people's decision-making skills.
Well, yeah, because we like literally did it like lying on our stomachs on my living room floor, which I think is like the way an episode like that needs to be recorded. Absolutely. But yeah, no one needs to see it. There's also like you start acting a little bit when you're on camera because like I mean at this
and then
point
you gotta watch for clips, and then you like when you're cognizant of all your isms, and you're like, this, I'm sure there's something to this.
I don't even give a shit. Whatever. I just watch my OCD tics time and time again, and then everyone thinks I'm on drugs, and I go, I literally have a tic because I have an anxiety disorder. I don't know what to tell everybody. It's not drugs. I wish I was on drugs.
I think you're on drugs.
I wish I was on drugs.
I think you're lying to yourself, Corinne. You're actually super insecure and on drugs.
I haven't done drugs in such a long time.
Drugs are great. Okay, guys, come see us live. I have a comedy album out, my debut comedy album, Good Girl Barbara. It's available. You can listen to it for free on Spotify. You can download it on Apple Music. You can get it wherever. And I also have a solo podcast, The Voices in Our Heads, that comes out every Monday. I am the sole host, but Mikey Big Dick Don Coscarelli is the second mic, and we're doing a lot of ghost hunting in his basement. And don't worry, this past Monday, I purchased holy water off his Amazon, and I cured his table. I got the ghost out of the table, and I'm not even a Christian. Imagine that. And I'm reading this book for the Voices in Our Heads in the next several weeks called Supercharged Self-Healing by this guy, RJ Spina, who I watched a near-death experience interview with him on YouTube. That's how I found him. And he successfully cured himself from being paralyzed from the chest down with a sepsis infection and diabetes and all kind of autoimmune disorders. He cured himself of all those diseases and walked again. So I'm diving into this book. And I have a Patreon, as you know. I talk about it every week, where once a week I will do a Zoom group therapy, and I will lead it. I'm also adding additional recordings, readings of this book, of RJ Spina's book, because I can't get to the whole thing on my podcast. So there's a lot of bonus content on my Patreon. You can sign up $5 a month. You can just listen to all the things. You can binge. You can listen to all the therapy audio I got, and pretty soon there'll be bonus readings of Supercharged Self-Healing. And you don't have to be paralyzed to benefit from this book. It's an amazing book. I feel like I've been looking for this book for a very long time. So make sure you tune in, patreon.com/Krystyna Hutchinson.
And everybody, very excited to announce today, I have been teasing this tour for a couple weeks. I finally have everything up. All the links are accessible. It is the Eye of the Tiger tour. I'm coming to a city near you, and if I'm not coming to a city near you, move someplace better. People keep shouting other cities. These are the cities that made sense and that I wanted to go to, that I didn't mind going to. My new rule is, if I don't like your city, I'm just not going there anymore, unless you're offering like an obscene amount of money. It's just, there's no need to make life unpleasant. I'm sorry.
I know.
There's just no need. There's some cities that I truly go to, and the whole time I'm thinking, I'd rather be dead, and that doesn't need to be a part of my life anymore.
Winnipeg.
So I actually
I'm never gonna stop going to you, Winnipeg.
I actually loved Winnipeg. Yeah, so this is the listings. Tampa, Florida, April 17th. Miami, Florida, April 18th. 1st, Boston, Massachusetts, May 2nd, Portland, Oregon, May 14th, San Francisco, California, May 15th, Sacramento, California, May 16th, Seattle, Washington, May 17th, Houston, Texas, June 27th, Austin, Texas, June 28th and 29th, and Salt Lake City, Utah, September 26th. A couple of those have multiple shows. Most of them, as you see, I'm just staying one night in the city because I go, wait, I don't need to be there all weekend. Just sell out the one big venue on the one night, and then I can leave and move on with my life. I have time to do all the things I want then, and it will make me go on tour more often if I'm just in and fucking out. So yeah, come on a Wednesday or something. That's what I asked to do, and I'm so happy and excited for this. Tickets are available at CorinneFisher.com. The link is also in the Linktree link in my bio on Instagram at PhilanthropyGal. And Chloe LeBranch is the feature act for this entire tour. She did inspire me to call it the Eye of the Tiger Tour because I made a mistake several years ago of telling her that I used to put on my hoodie and put in my earphones and really amp myself up for comedy shows by listening to Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. And she has not let me live it down since. So I did surprise her today. I wouldn't tell her what the tour was, and I surprised her today with it. And she did. She texted me. She was like, I'm LOLing at work. So excited. We did kind of the last test run of the show in Washington, D.C. this past weekend, and it was so fun. We had a great time. And also, I want to shout out the host. Her name is Maddie, but I forgot her last name. Let me see. Because it's so sweet. A lot of cities, there's like a comedian who asks to host the weekend of shows, but like doesn't let on. Usually like tells the feature that like they're a big fan of Guys We Fucked or me or whatever it is, and like asks to host the weekend. And so shout out to Maddie Brannon. Her handle is Maddie the B, just like the letter B. She actually has a really cool Instagram. If you live in the DC area, she goes to estate sales every weekend. And she kind of goes through them. She like knows so much about. I love someone who knows a lot about a world that I don't know about. So she goes through the list, the estate sales for the weekend. Tells you what's going to be out, which ones, the address, the hours. How, because she said there's a lot of gatekeeping in estate sales, and I was like, so dramatic. I love it. But yeah, you can go and check that out and support her if you're in the Washington D.C. area. What a fun weekend! Thank you to everyone who came. And of course, Without a Country comes out every Wednesday. So many wackos came this weekend. I feel like that it's so weird because like this show has been through so many iterations with Joe DeRosa and Shane Smith, and now me doing it solo. And I feel like more people are listening than ever before. And I was on C-SPAN this weekend, which was ridiculous, so fun. Shout out to Leslie for making that happen. But yeah, if you want to learn, again, more about the presidential election really heating up, it's pretty much going to be another Biden-Trump election. So you're going to want to pay attention, All right, that is that. You said you had.
Yeah, so I had a DM from a female listener who heard me discussing on the most recent bonus episode of Guys We Fucked about being in a partnership where one person, me, for the nature of this discussion, was had a higher sex drive than the other partner, and how to deal with that, and what to do, and how to go about it, and how sometimes talking about it is actually the least likely option for a positive outcome that you want. And so this woman emailed me or DM'd me, and I asked her if I could share this, and she said, yes, please. And it is an example of a man acting just beautifully. And I was like, well, goddamn, let's share that. Just heard the most recent Luminary. I've had your experience, but the other way around. It's a real pattern for me. I'm super sexual for the first 2 years, and then suddenly lose all sexual attraction for my boyfriend. And I usually end up cheating and ending the relationship. To be frank, a lot of my past boyfriends have been awful, so I'd lost much respect for them by year 2, so it sort of makes sense. However, my current partner is such a good man. I have so much respect for him. We are a unit, a really strong family. We have children, a dog, and a house together. Our sex life was amazing for about 3 years, and I thought I'd escaped my old pattern. But a couple of years ago, I did lose all sexual attraction for him. It was really tough. I didn't even like his smell anymore. Which you should have been there. Be like, that's the ick. Can you come back from the ick? I could see objectively he was really hot. I just couldn't connect with it. It got me down so having lost that amazing sexual attraction we used to have. It honestly felt like I was grieving a loss. Briefly considered an open relationship, but I could see that wasn't viable and would blow up our otherwise amazing, strong relationship. His response when I brought it up was so incredible. He just doesn't take things personally. So it came from a place of such strength and love. He said, I know you don't want to have sex with me right now. It's fine. I can wait. When it comes back, and I know it will. And left it at that, which was kind of my theory. He never made me feel guilty, never tried to initiate or push it. Instead, he started doing more to help me out with the kids and work. He made sure I always had time to myself, but he wasn't a doormat either. He was looking after himself as well, going out with his friends, to the gym, making good progress at work. I think because he was so secure with himself and in our relationship, and he saw our best potential and believed in it, it slowly helped me relax. And once I relaxed, I slowly started to see him in a sexual way. To begin with, it was like when the sun pierces through on a cloudy day, I'd be looking at him across the room and suddenly have this urge to fuck him. But it took a year to properly come back. It ebbed and flowed that year, but it did come back. We've had sex 4 times in the last 3 days, and I initiated it every time. We're 5 years into a relationship with young kids and busy lives. I think we're doing pretty good. Just wanted to send you a hopeful message and some love. Also, Mike talking rubbish. My partner still very much wants to fuck me. I've always felt secure in the knowledge that he finds me extremely attractive, unless he's the best actor in the world. I was like, well, goddamn, lady, I think you picked a great man.
Yeah, that guy sounds great. And I also love the part where, especially where he was just like, help, that's such a common love language, especially in heterosexual relationships, for women to like help us more.
Yeah.
Oh, I love being helped. I love when people help me. And I'm not talking about little like classically feminine, like help me, like, protect me against this guy calling me or something. I mean, like, no, like literally fucking wash a dish, clean a room, walk my dog. Dude, that's help. That's real help. Create time to fuck.
Yeah. And it kind of goes along with my theory of like, I knew when I talked about on the bonus episode, I'm like, this feeling that I have is coming from a deeply insecure place, which is not a place to have a conversation. It's just not going to go well because it's not the level that I want to be at, that I want to approach this, because it means too much to me. So approaching it from like all of my insecurities is asking for a disaster. So I loved that a man reacted in this way, and so kudos to you, lady.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Nice job, man. Someone else who's doing good work.
A man who's our guest.
Yes, he is a stand-up comedian, and his new special, Dance Fatty Dance, comes out on YouTube on March 12th. Please welcome to the show, Dan St. Germain. As possible, but back in the day, I've done one in the past, but I've got a lot better. Just absolutely after COVID, I just was like, I did who's ever podcast during COVID because it didn't matter, and then after that, I was like, not saying no to pretty much everyone now. I love saying no to podcasts. It's my favorite thing.
Do you say no, Dan?
I'm not in a position where I can say no to anything.
I'm not really either. I just don't do things I like.
If the Port Authority has a booth, I'll go do it right now at this point. I gotta push the special, so whatever, guys. If somebody like hits me up and it's like they have 30 followers, and they have like 30 followers, and they're like, hey, I'm new at stand-up, then I try to find ways to get out of it. But even if they're really nice, I'll do it. It's, like I don't want to
you never
alienate the fucking 4 fans I have.
Right.
Well, you're about to get one more, probably.
Thank you. Welcome, Guys We Fuck Nation.
How are you? Guys We Fuck Nation. I like that.
Dan, remember? I'll give you a throwback.
I think he does. I think he mentioned it while you were back here.
Threatening. You said, I hope your boyfriend dies in a car accident. That's actually very funny. I was offended at the time because I loved him, but that's hilarious.
But by the way, just to anyone who's listening, I was single then many years ago. I'm married now. But yes, I did do that. I really threw it out there by throwing your boyfriend in front of a bus.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Did you really feel that in your heart? Like if the next day she had texted and been like, oh my God, you manifested his death. Like would you have felt guilty?
I would have felt guilty.
Or like a powerful witch?
For sure. Well, I don't think if that had happened, she would have been like, fuck you, you killed my boyfriend.
You're a murderer.
So I don't think that I would have been, if she was like, hey, I killed my boyfriend, then maybe that would be a different situation.
Right.
But no, at the time, I think at the time the next day I was like, oh, what drunken, dumb thing did I do? And usually I had a list, and I was like, oh, okay, so the text apology to Krystyna is 135 today, and everyone at Buffalo Wild Wings is 155. Let me make sure that I put one in after another.
Did you actually physically write a list of things that you had to make amends for?
I have.
That's some AA shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Did
mean,
you do it?
When I was, most of them, yeah. I think so. But it's like one of those things where it's like hey, I'm just back from rehab again, so it's like,
shit.
There's like a new list every time.
Right. The making amends thing is interesting. Like what does AA say that it's the benefit of that? I can understand logic.
You clear the wreckage of your past. And it should be more for them than you. That's the thing.
Oh, I
so it's like if it's a situation where you shouldn't reach out because they don't want you to reach out,
Should have that
don't reach out.
Yeah. Right.
So, but it's like one of those things where it's supposed to be like a living thing anyway. Where it's like, at the end of the day, if you're like, I was shitty to this person, I should like text this person and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm shitty to you. But I'm not like, I still go to meetings, but I'm not like an AA guy either.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those things. But yeah, it's just kind of like keeping yourself, I guess, accountable. But I think you can just do that as a normal person. Like if you don't apologize as a normal person, you're like,
That's kind of shitty.
you're kind of like a psychopath.
Right.
Well, psychopath, or like you're just ashamed of how you behaved and you don't want to address it.
That's true.
But there's some people like one person in particular I can think of that I'm like, I owe that guy an apology, but I'm not apologize because I'm a little too honest. Yeah.
I look over and your producer has like a black eye on his head. He's sorry,
What have you had a rock bottom?
Unfortunately, I've had a few.
Let's take a tour of your rock bottoms.
I could have a whole book of rock bottoms. This past time, it was that I did the bonfire and I had 9 drinks before.
The bonfire is a podcast for those listening.
Yeah, it's
9.
And I thought that was, I was like, oh, I've only had 9 drinks. I'm fine.
Only
9 or 10.
What time was it?
It was like 4:30 or 6 p.m., something like that. And I was like, I'm going to get away with it. And then my writing partner, comedy partner, Dan Sutter, texts me immediately when I'm done and goes, were you just drunk on the bonfire? Like immediately I knew. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So there was that, and amongst a couple other things. But it was like, not to get heavy. Well, yeah, whatever. I'll get heavy.
Guys, we fucked.
My mom died a little bit over a year ago, and we found,
sorry.
it's okay. We're kind of still in the middle of it, ordeal-wise.
Oh,
and
shit.
We found out some facts about the death that day, and I hadn't been drinking, and that kind of like precipitated me to like a week-long binge.
Totally.
Yeah, it was kind of heavy. I'm not going to say that was an excuse, but that is why it happened.
Right.
Yeah,
a lot of times with sobriety is hanging on by a thread. It takes like the stressful event is if I'm really sober, then I won't lean into this drug or whatever, or alcohol again. But yeah, it's too easy to slip.
For sure. And I was like smoking pot constantly for like the last 5 years. So it's like, that was, which I don't consider that the same as drinking, but it's
a mind altering substance.
It's a mind altering substance, and it's the same in the sense that like I don't want to feel something today.
Totally.
So let me put this thing on so I don't have to deal with it.
No stoner like calls somebody and says you're a fucking piece of shit.
No.
Like, stoner behavior is more docile for sure. Like there was a year that I had scream crying, and I smoked weed a lot during the day, which I don't ever do because I was like I had rage. Weed is I find really good for rage.
Yeah, but then the problem is that you don't. It depends on who you are. Like for me, it was just like. You're just constantly like putting that away. So I was just
because then you're not learning how to get through the rage. You're just learning how to suppress the rage, right?
Yeah, and it was the same thing with benzos too, because I was addicted to those. So it was like
benzo,
like Xanax or
anti-anxiety,
Klonopin, or Valium. Yeah, so anti-anxiety drugs. So it's like more of those. I don't want to just feel whatever I'm feeling. Let me turn on an air conditioner in my body that just cools everything down. But weed is the one. I mean, I've only been sober this time, like 4.5 months. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the one that I do.
That's awesome.
Quite a bit.
So you're completely sober.
I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
A lot of trans fats. That's it. Anything else, I'm not doing.
How long were you sober from alcohol this last time when you relapsed?
Well,
It
the
felt like a
problem is
long
my mom
time.
died over a year ago, and
Right.
I was on and off. I'd have 3 weeks and then go back off, and then 3 weeks and then go back off. So I wasn't like it was probably like 2 months. Like September was when the last time I drank, and then like 2 months later. So I had about 2 months.
But wasn't there
wasn't
there a period of time when there was like years in there? Or was
Yeah, I've had
that's what I thought.
I've had times where I've had 3 years.
Right.
I've had 3 years twice.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
So like I had 3 years when I was in New York, and then I had 3 years when I was in LA. So, and things definitely got better. So it's the only thing that you deal with is that you get bored, especially without weed.
So yeah,
you get super bored.
my partner is a very high functioning alcoholic, and like we talked about this on the show before. Alcohol doesn't affect me this way, but it affects him this way.
Still drinking?
No, so he's been a couple months sober, and but like when he drinks, it's like coffee to him. Like it makes him energized, and more like he's already very social. I'm like, damn, if booze affected me like that, I probably would have an alcohol problem because it just makes me go to bed. But he was saying to me, he's like, I'm bored. Like, I'm bored, and so I also was gonna say I was watching a lot of Oprah videos on YouTube the other day, and one of the things she said was. Actually, no, there's this book called What Happened to You. That's really profound that she co-wrote with a psychologist. And she said, conquering an addiction is some of the most highest spiritual work anybody will ever do in their lifetime. I don't think Oprah's had an addiction, maybe with food. She talked about it with food.
Stuff,
Yeah, food addiction for sure.
But I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And so I'm curious, like your state now. You know, you're 4 months sober with all of the things. What's the traffic like in your head?
I don't want to drink right now. I don't want to do any hard drugs right now. I do want to smoke weed right now. And I think it's because there are things that I don't want to feel right now.
Yeah.
And I am back in therapy, so that's good. And I do have a psychiatrist. I'm really getting into it on this podcast. But
I warned you.
No, ignored me. But yeah, so I feel like that sometimes I just want to fucking break.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to like. It's not that I want to vent, like, or I want to like be like, you know, like spend 3 days in a hotel somewhere where I blow my face off and I, you know, scream at the moon. I don't want that, but I do want, like, I do miss smoking weed, playing 2 hours of video games. You know, like not like
So it's
just
like a
having my dog.
numbing,
Yeah, like a numbing thing.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
miss that. Spiritually, you know, I can't. My wife's not drinking. She's not smoking pot right now. She's not doing anything.
In solidarity.
In solidarity,
Yeah.
which at times I wish she was. And I was like, you sure you don't want to?
Really? Yeah, because I've been doing that with
and
my
then she'll
boyfriend.
like look at me and she's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Do you want to? And
Why
I'm
is
like,
she being a bitch or something?
No, she's not being a bitch at all.
You were like, I wish she would.
No, she's not being. I
What
mean, in
do
the
you
sense
do
that I
vicariously?
sometimes want to smoke weed. So I'm like, well, if she has a glass of wine, then maybe I can.
It will give
it's
you
like,
the.
yeah, it's like, well, if you have a
yeah.
cookie, now you're gonna have a cookie, right?
Totally.
So that's the thing for me, and it's always been substances. You know, I know people who like, you know, they want to like, their thing is they want to gamble or they want to act out in a relationship and cheat. For me, it's always been
Get fucked up.
get
on
fucked up. I
drugs.
just don't want to like deal with life on life's terms.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, Gabor Mate has
I don't
fascinating
even know
things.
Gesundheit. I have no idea.
He's a great author. He's an incredible psychologist and psychiatrist. Gabor Mate, yeah. He wrote a book about addiction, and he says, like, we always look at addicts like they're this part of this low level of society, which is absolutely the opposite of true. Like, some of their greatest works of time were out of the way we approach addiction is so backwards because we always say, like, what you're doing is wrong, your behavior is wrong, what's wrong with you, you know? And it's like, well, no, what's right about your addiction? Meaning, what do these drugs give you that you don't have otherwise that isn't something that you want? That's something good for you, and it so seems like the numbers.
I think that that's the case. Yeah, and I think it's just, you know, I'm a very work-first person.
Sure.
So I always associate, like, being able to, like, get drunk or smoke a joint as, like, oh, this is, like, my recreational time. Like, I don't have the same, like, I don't have a not part of like a pickleball league.
Pickleball's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't sing karaoke. Maybe I should, but those are the things I probably should be.
I was gonna say
replacing it with
hobbies,
more.
like
yeah, for
hobbies that you actually like doing.
Yeah, I mean,
are
for sure. That's the thing. I mean, I love my dogs. I love hanging out with my wife. And those are like, and I mean, as we know, because we all do a lot of shows here, it's like when you have a night off, a lot of the times you just don't want to do anything. You just kind of want to like veg out. But yeah, so I think like I think trying to add new stuff to the routine should be where I'm going in the next couple of weeks. I'm so busy anyway; it doesn't really matter. But like eventually, when I have downtime, it's to do that kind of thing for sure.
Can I ask you, what feelings are you running from? Do you know? As somebody who struggled with addiction and ran from very specific feelings, I asked from that place.
I never think I'm enough, for sure. I think that almost the one thing that I think is common with almost anyone who's had a drug and alcohol problem is you feel like the other, you feel different from everybody else. I had that when I was a kid and I was getting picked on to like being someone who has friends and a wife, and like, so it's like, what, because it was interesting. Or when I was like lonely, I was like, oh, I'm married to a wonderful person now. I have 3 dogs and great friends, and I'm like, and I still have that other feeling. I still have that, like, I feel like I'm cut off from, like, something's different about me, something's wrong about me.
That's usually where all addiction stems from.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the thing that like I'm not enough.
Yeah.
So those are the things, and my mom suffered from the disease, so I think that I had also, there's some Al-Anon shit in there, and my whole family, my grandpa died from it, my mom died from it, so it's like I have living examples of what's in store for me. So I definitely think that there's like an element of feeling like the alien, as I look at alien stickers on your guys' laptop.
Yes, I am an alien.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable about it, just say skip.
Sure.
But I'm curious what you found out about your mama.
That would be so funny if I hear, how big are your balls? Like, it's like I told him. I was like, what are we talking? How big is your butthole? My mom, I can't go specifically into this, and I would have told you that beforehand, but she was definitely suffering. This doesn't involve her death is different, but she was suffering from elements of alcoholic dementia. We did have to put her in an assisted living facility when she was in her 60s, way earlier than she should have been.
Yeah.
Some of that was due to the marriage with my dad and her ending. There was a lot of, I don't think my mom could, again, she couldn't handle life on life's terms. And, this was, she kind of had a bunch of bad things happen in a row. And she was hurt, so she hurt herself, and she certainly hurt other people in her family. So, yeah, I think that those things, and then she always just medicated through alcohol. Like my dad drinks too much at times, but she, my grandpa died with a bottle in his hands. My grandma had alcohol problems, and that whole side of the family, there's a lot of addiction. Not even speaking that people I'm not even covering, that I'm not as close to. Right. So for whatever reason, that has been the salve.
Yeah. There's been a lot of arguments about is addiction genetic, and like the guy that I was mentioning earlier, he's like, I don't really think it is, but I think it's more powerful to witness your parent handle something with a drug, for example, or handle something with a temper, or handle something like I got things from my father. I would presume from my father, but I'm not genetically related to him, so I'm like, oh, okay, so this is nurture. Like nurture is huge, and kids are so sensitive.
Do you think that you there's certain ways that your dad deals with stuff that you deal with?
Yeah, temper.
Yeah.
A lot of rage.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not like being a little too scared of feelings. It sounds like your wife, from the few things that you've mentioned, is handling this like a champ.
She's
really,
been great.
really nice partner.
So I'm very lucky. I lucked out and married.
Yeah, I was kind of going to ask, how long have you been married to her?
We'll be in 5 years in October, but we're together for 6 years. We dated 7 years ago, but it was casual, and then we got together a year after that.
were you sober when you met her? Like what? Cause
I was. When I met her, I was.
Nice. And then the first time that you relapsed with her, because I'm so curious.
I did not realize with her. We were broken up.
Okay.
We were kind of like dating. So I was that. That was in LA. I had gone out, and partially as I was prescribed anxiety medication. I'm not going to just blame it on that. I made a decision to go out, but I think that kind of led to it in some ways. And she's dealt with, she's and it is kind of the reason I'm also staying, sober at this point is that she's like, had to deal with some of it, and I can't,
as a partner does.
Yeah, as a partner, it's a lot of bullshit.
The partner can't be unaffected by another partner's addiction.
Of course not. And she's, at times I think she's like, that's a story to tell, but she's like had, she's probably partied too much at times in her life. I wouldn't put her in the same category than me at all, but she's, flourishing without it right now. So I think that her dealing with that was definitely, she likes me a lot better when I'm not on it, for sure.
Is that motivation for you to?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, that's nice to use that type of motivation when your partner sees the best in you. You're like, well, I can't see the best in me right now, but I'm going to take your word for it because he married me.
Yeah. I think that there's definitely an element of, I can't, I have a family now. I don't have kids, but I have a wife and dogs, and I can't just do the shit that I did in my 20s anymore.
Yeah, sister.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes I want to. I want to. I want to like not be, accountable to anybody, and that's not in the sense of like I want to be like, oh, I want to go to Vegas and be single. Like it's more like I just want to like freaking go to Best Western for a week.
Did you
interrupt me? Pennsylvania or something?
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
I wonder if there's like a correlation between kids who grew up with parents where the parents didn't take responsibility for themselves, meaning like they kind of fell into like the addiction, was swallowed by it, or had mental illness that they didn't keep in check, or whatever the fuck it is. And it's like the kid never got to be a kid. So I feel like sometimes when that kind of kid grows up, they're like, somebody else hold it together for once. Let me be the fucking mess for once.
Right.
There's I used to feel like that, and I would get mad, like having conversations about like, Krystyna, maybe you should chill on the substances. I'm like, because it's like, give me a rest.
Your coke dealer, you're telling it to.
Fortunately, I was very happy to learn I do not like cocaine. That was the one drug. It's the only drug I don't like. But because I know that one can get nasty. Yeah. But there's plenty of other drugs that I love. But I wonder if it's part of that. It's like a child that carries a lot of emotional weight prematurely, just wants to fucking relax and numb out more so than the average bear.
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. I think like the problem is with high school is that whenever I would do it, I was never having like 6 drinks. It was always like, let me get fucking bombed, let me like, and then I would have a disaster. I would put myself in harm's way. Or
Did you just say 6 drinks like a light night?
Right.
That would be a light night. At least say if I could stop at 8, I would still be drinking.
Yeah.
What's like the most amount?
Men can just drink differently. Like, what do you drink?
really
Also,
can.
what was your drink of choice?
Well, the last time around, I was like fooling myself. I'm like, I can't touch whiskey, so what I'll drink is beer and rum.
Yeah.
And I would have like 16 girly drinks, but it's like I'm drinking them like I'm on.
You're having
like
a Mai Tai
or something. Yeah, but I'm like, I'm having a Bahama Mama, like I'm a cop mourning a dead partner or something like that.
Well, that's very interesting because there are a couple people I know who drink beer and are alcoholics and think because their drink of choice is beer that they're not alcoholics, and it is hard to watch. It's hard to watch the amount of denial that you have to be living in. I don't like.
What do you do?
Who started the rumor that beer is not? You can't be an alcoholic on beer.
Beer companies did.
Like what?
Beer companies did, yeah, for sure.
It's only got 4% alcohol, so you do whatever you want.
Like if you've seen beer commercials, no one looks like they drink beer who's in a beer commercial. Like if you can
right. True.
Miller, it's all like,
it's like
you
hot
look like a
girls.
DJ.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here?
Well, that's why I like that Shane Gillis. They hired Shane Gillis because he looks like he
looks like
beer
he drinks
in
beer.
the best way. I was like, amazing collab.
Beer. Yeah, for sure. Like, but a lot of the times you'll watch him and you'll be like, this is like The Weeknd or something.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that especially the IPAs now, because IPAs can get like. I remember I was drinking a beer that was like 13%
Oh, yeah.
alcohol, and I was
My
like,
favorite
what's
beer.
the difference between this and
Yeah.
like
Delirium
vodka
strength.
soda?
But yeah, having an IPA is like having a fucking sandwich.
Yeah,
For sure.
Like
With rye bread.
Yeah,
Rye bread.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? I can't even drink enough beer to get drunk on it because if my
Yeah.
stomach gets full first. So I'm always kind of like when someone can drink, 10, 11 beers, I'm more impressed.
Yeah.
Like how did you even get that in there?
Especially, yeah, I can do that with like a light beer, like Keystone Light or Coors Light or Bud Light. But if I'm having, if I'm having an IPA, it's like, I feel full. 6 drinks in or something.
I'm on a diet.
I'm on a diet.
Only
That
6
thing,
for
too, is
me.
It adds, like I'm already overweight, so it's like I'll get like scary TLC fat. You know what I mean? TLC special fat. Being in the fire department's like breaking a door down for me to leave. So
Oh, so you get a show
yeah, that's true.
Like a
That's
show.
true.
I finally made it on TV.
That's finally made it on
at
TV.
my high points.
I didn't get the Tonight Show, guys, but I am on 700 pounds and pregnant somehow.
Was it your decision to go to rehab, or was it?
This time around it was.
Okay,
And
that's
then the last
empowering.
time inpatient, this was like my 5th time going, so it depends.
Cute.
Like a lot of the other times were outpatients. And then the last time it was like trying to get a girl back, and then like as soon as I got back, he was like, yeah, I'm still not going to go out with you. And I was like, which by the way, she was right. But like that was my reasoning. And this time it was more like, all right, man, I'm going to be, 40 and like, I can't put it into the next gear in comedy at 50. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I have this window. I'm maybe 40 in May. I'm 39 now, so I have like this window. So like I really have to kind of like get my shit together now instead of like be worrying about this when I'm 55 years old or something.
What's inpatient therapy like? Or
Inpatient is
rehab, rather.
Inpatient rehab is you're there, you're staying there, and
Yeah.
outpatient is you can be doing it from home.
But it's all day therapy.
It's all day therapy,
Group?
group therapy, a lot of group therapy. Then there's also like some activities.
Oh, that's fun. What kind of activities?
I did build a snowman this last time around. That's on our
nice.
fridge still.
Oh, papers.
My
Cute.
sad rehab snowman.
Wow. A lot of group activities, like if I was suffering from alcoholism, that would make me want to drink more.
There are some,
If
to your
they were
point,
fun group
Corinne. Yeah, where the first rehab, we had like sober karaoke, and I like did a bit about it where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to like do the things that I was embarrassed to do drunk. That's like sober.
Make it a weird one.
It's like,
That actually sounds like torture.
it's like
wow.
it's like
Sober
an activity,
stripping.
like sober, fuck a 3. You're like, oh, no, there's something I want to do drunk. Like, please, I don't need to revisit that
Fuck.
sober. Thanks.
Wow. Yeah.
They should take it, they should, rehabs, you should, interact with animals and stuff like that. Like,
We
that
did
shit.
equine therapy.
Oh,
the
oh,
first one.
nice.
And they had a
That's
rehab. This
nice.
past one, they had a rehab dog. It was pretty sweet.
What kind of dogs?
It was a black lab.
Oh my god.
It was the best. We have 3 dogs now, so that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then we did have a rehab dance. I think because I was there. They had like the winter dance. I was there for Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving meal was like incredible. Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Like one of the best. I was like having a panic attack all day, but then as soon as I got off my bathroom floor, I was like, "Oh, this stuffing's tremendous." So yeah, we had like a formal where it was like a dance, and it was just like nobody was dancing with each other. Like no, that's not true. There was one guy who was like. Yeah, but he was like trying to like make it happen. You know what I mean?
got it. That's a rehab no-no.
That's a rehab no. Rehab romance, although it happens a lot. It's
I
never
was
happened
saying,
to me.
people were fucking,
You
right?
definitely want to
Nobody was
in
fucking,
rehab.
I think, this time around, but it has.
Sure.
My friend met his wife in fucking rehab, so it's
Different.
like,
Yeah.
it does happen. I mean, because if you don't have like,
So naughty.
of course, yeah, and it's also you don't have anything else. But at that point, you're like, well, I can fuck.
All I
and
have is fucking.
I can't do heroin.
Yeah, exactly. When you can't do substances, the next best thing is like being addicted to a person. I mean, I actually
Yeah.
enjoy
That's
that more, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that becomes a thing for a lot of people where it's afterwards they're like, all right, well, sex then becomes a thing, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, right now for me, it's like the one that's the hardest is food.
Yeah, yeah. How
because
long?
You can still do it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You
How
can
long-
cut off sex and drinking, but you still have to eat.
No, I often think
Yeah.
about that, and I was like, writing something about that. I mean, like, not that because I don't have food addiction, but if there was something that I was like most challenging relationship as far as substance, it's definitely food.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
And the thing is, like, yeah, exactly. You can stop doing heroin cold turkey, but you have to eat a little. You know?
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Just do the healthy heroin. Well, I'm not right now.
And it's all around.
I mean, I just got back from Dallas where I went to like Terry Black's Barbecue and Whataburger and Mexican, and I was just, but I overeat. My wife, who's like, 105 pounds, is like, ooh, let me eat. She'll like eat like a quarter of what I eat.
Right.
And I'm like, we are not the same.
Yeah.
She'll like, ooh, it'll taste of banana pudding rather than like just me with a gallon in a corner mainlining it in my fucking veins. So.
Do they go over food addiction and rehab at all, or are they just concentrating on
a little bit?
substances?
Yeah, there was some nutrition stuff there for sure.
What are they presenting for food addiction there?
I mean, they went through a lot of it. It's not the number one thing they're focusing on,
Sure.
honestly, unless you have an eating disorder and you're like cross addicted. So like if some, if some cross addicted, that sounds so hot. If some girl's like, like a bulimic on top of being an alcoholic, then she's probably gonna have a much rougher road.
Right.
If you were just one of those things.
Right.
So it's not the primary. Like, if you gain 30 pounds the first year, they're like, that's fine if you're not, doing fentanyl. You shouldn't, but it's better than if you were, And then there are people too that will get like are really underweight, and then they'll come and then they'll gain like 50 pounds in rehab just because they haven't been eating.
Oh shit. I have two more logistical questions real quick. How long were you in the inpatient rehab and how much was it?
This time it was 21 days, and I was on my wife's insurance, so it was.
It was covered?
Great, yeah.
Oh, that's fucking fantastic. Oh yeah, I love hearing about insurance covering something.
Yes,
that somebody needs.
but it's a little bit. It is stressful because you don't know. Like they only okay, you have another 3 days. Okay, you have another 3 days because they only greenlight you for
Jesus.
3 days each time. So in your head, you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna
Today's gonna be the day I get rejected.
Yeah, but the last rehab I went to, it was like it covered. I ended up having to spend 10 grand, and then like insurance paid like 20 grand or something like that. So like that was. But then there's ones that are like $60,000-$70,000.
Yeah, those are the ones like for the celebrities, right?
Yeah, there was the celebrity one I almost went to. I did not go to because of the I was about to say which celebrity, but I don't think I should. But
yeah, probably
not. They're all there. So yeah, it's hopefully you have insurance that covers it, and a lot of the times they want to do outpatient because it's cheaper.
Right.
And they can keep you on outpatient for like 4 months rather than inpatient.
Did you have an aha moment while you were in therapy this go around? Was there any connection?
I think there's like I think I have aha moments like every time in therapy, right?
Yeah,
where
that's
it's
great.
I mean, this time I'm just starting with a new therapist. My last guy was sober. He was like an actor guy who was on. Remember that there was a Dick Wolf show called Cop Rock, and it was like Law and Order a musical.
That's awesome.
And he had his bottom was he like woke up the next day and he was in a Jeep that he had bought in a blackout with both his ears pierced and a tiny toy cup tea multi-poo that he had also.
Dog! He got a dog!
Yeah, he got a dog in a bag. He was like, okay, I'm done.
That's a wrap for me and drugs.
That's a wrap
Fuck
for
sold
me.
him a drunk man a dog.
A guy who really needs to get rid of these dogs.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
That's your therapist?
That was my therapist. I can't afford it right now,
Damn,
so
I was like,
moving
that's
on-
a good therapist.
Moving on to someone else. I'm moving on to like a woman now. I've never had like a female. I've had a female therapist once. That's not true. Usually, I'm very good with gay men. I don't know why, because I'm the most like them. Besides, enjoying penis.
What about she was gay?
I don't think that would work either. I think a gay man really understands me.
No, but what about you? You said I'm the most
I don't know.
Because you don't. I mean,
Connect mostly with.
I
you don't
feel
seem
very
super gay to me.
comfortable I just feel my sponsor in LA was a gay guy. I mostly liked LGBT meetings when I was in LA. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
I mean, I haven't I made out with guys where I did hook up with one guy once, like when I was in college. Yeah, it was like the straightest way anyway, but
Yeah, I did the same thing.
yeah, it was
Don't
like.
lick your vagina for a second. Did I do it? Yeah.
Okay, I didn't do that. I could think if I could handy, which is like, might as well just not do anything.
Yeah.
So,
you really phoned in that.
yeah, I really phoned it. But he wanted Tony, so I had like a little thing where I was like, man, I hooked the one guy I hooked up with. I hooked up with like the LeBron James of gays, And
That's
all
sick.
the women are like work at Guitar Center or Hardee's now, you know. So it's like it's a real. I would have stayed with Cog. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah. Gay makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm more connected. I don't know. I've always been.
Do you have a lot of male friends?
Do I have a lot of male friends?
Yeah, straight male friends.
I have a lot of straight male friends.
You do?
Yeah.
And you find no like issue connecting with them emotionally? Or do you just
No,
or you just
not
like
anymore.
hang?
I don't think so.
Uh-huh.
I think those ones I kind of drop away.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I have guy friends I'll say I love you too.
Yeah.
Good.
Which is it was uncomfortable for a little bit. Like, you know, who got me out of that for a little bit was actually Soda with me. And I was like, oh, I love you too. In the beginning, I always felt like there's gonna be like some angry, great Santino dad who's gonna like beat me with a basketball when I did that. But I was like, no, you can say I love you. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. But that took a while to do that. But yeah, most of my I saw one of my best friends I was at Dallas Comedy Club all weekend and I saw him and I said I love you and that was fine. It took a while too. It took a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you just got to get used to it. Like it's all like training your thoughts. Like I feel like when you're working on yourself, it's like going to the gym with your mind and going, okay, old thought patterns. We're gonna reroute. And you just keep rerouting until it sticks. You know?
Do you feel comfortable calling like one of your straight guy friends and having a conversation like, you know, about struggling with sobriety, or do you feel more comfortable only talking about your wife with that?
I can talk to other people who struggle with it.
I was gonna say Dan had
and my
had
wife. Those
previous
are the two.
issues. Yeah.
You know, I don't want to talk with them because those are the ones that are going to let me off the hook. You know, there are certain people that I want to call that, you know, like this time around drinking, he's still friends with me now, but he didn't know that I had a problem, and I kept him as like my drunk friend.
Totally.
You know, but now he does. So yeah, I would definitely keep those. I would try to like partition a little bit.
Yeah.
I think for sure.
So it's more strategic. I only ask because it is like common in heterosexual relationships that the woman just takes on the emotional burden of the man, and I think like if you can divvy up some of that responsibility to other people in your life, specifically not female friends, like it would just be better for society, and also like kind of trains men to like, you know, it's like you should be able to talk to your guy friends, like because they understand what it's like to be a guy. Like there are some things that only you guys are going to understand about one another, the same as like we have girlfriends.
Yeah, I think like I do think that like in the 1950s, like you could be like best friends with a guy and not know that they were depressed.
Right,
for sure.
Absolutely.
And that is one like sort of I guess evolution that's happened. But I think in general people don't. I think that, and I also have to like. Sometimes I like to and I think comics do this a lot, like where I vomit out emotions, but that I'm not really dealing with it. I'm just like, oh, here I'm doing this,
You're
blah blah blah.
spewing
Like,
that,
you're just like talking about the problem. You're not actually having someone challenge you on it, or like going to the, you know, I mean, and that's kind of like, and comedy rewards that kind of behavior, which is in the beginning helps you stand out, but then it really helps stun you.
Yep.
You know, where it's like, I'm a, you know, how many sets have we seen? I'm a drunk. I'm a slut. I'm an asshole. I'm a, you know, and it's like.
You're wearing like a badge.
Yeah, you wear it like a badge. It's like, okay, yeah, that's funny, but like, what are you doing to work on that?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, so that takes, you know, and that's hard. That's hard to fucking want to fix too, you know? Because I think we have this thing too where it's like, well, if I fix everything, then I'm not going to be particularly interesting to anybody.
Well, that's part of the fear, though. I think you still will, and you still have your your history can always be the story, but like you're not gonna have any friends left if you don't fix if you don't fix it.
And there's so many interesting things to get into once you're sober and like kind of of the right mind.
Yeah.
Like aliens.
Yeah, like, there we go.
Yeah,
They're
ghost
here now.
hunting.
They are.
Oh, yeah, they are.
So you've been married for 5 years. What has been your favorite part of being married? Like a little more specific, not just like support, like.
Well, you know, I mean, like, the hang's great, man.
The hang?
You know, like.
Is it different when you're married?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's less of a, you know, I mean, like when you're dating, it's just there's like a lot of an element of like it being a show every time you go out, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel genuinely comfortable with my wife, and you know, most of the people that I know that the relationships that last that I've known, and you know, are the ones where they can feel comfortable, like completely comfortable around this person. It's not the ones that don't last are not like, oh, we had this amazing pheromone like connection, and it was like the movie Garden State or some shit like that.
That was my dream relationship for
Right,
so
when
long.
you're in your 20s, yeah, it is because it's a drug, you know, and you want that, and it's not, you know, like, I forget this. There's this one writer, Joel, and I forget who it was now, but he was like, yeah, I can just feel I can be boring around my wife. That's how I know that it's the one. Like a lot of people are like, you know, like all the other stuff, like, yeah, it's like, dude, does she call me on my shit? Absolutely, but like,
That's great.
you know, and I need that, but it's not like the same. I think that's the. We have like 3 really cute dogs. We love watching horror movies together. We love something we love, you know, laughing, and it's one of those things where like I think I'm her favorite person to annoy too. So like I think that's key. So there's a lot of really good things, and I also think that it took me a while, but for a while I was trying to like look for somebody who was withholding because I wanted to recreate the same relationship I had with my mom growing up, and then. And not just her, but I think like someone I dated also before her. I was like, no, let me do the opposite and like go for somebody who actually like really likes me. Because like I think too, and I think that like comedy and showbiz stuff makes that worse because we always want the thing we can't get. And if you do that with romantic relationships, you're fucked.
Yeah, no. Like my therapist,
You know?
like is very clear. She's like the most important thing about a relationship is like the person really likes you, because it's like been a kind of running joke. Like my favorite thing about people, like one of my favorite quality about someone is like if they really like me, and everyone always makes fun of me for that. They're like, oh, you're like a narcissist. And I brought it to my therapist, and I said, and she goes, no, that's the fucking way that you should be looking at relationships.
Sure.
She's like, you're doing it right, and everyone else is projecting on you because they can't do it that way. And I was like, all right, I just want to make sure, because it seemed to me like very logical that you should be pursuing someone who sees you in the most positive light, you know?
I was thinking about this, you know, this girl that I dated in my 20s, we went on 3 days.
Right.
And like physically, she's what I want. She looked like the lead singer of Churches, which like at the time was what I wanted. And I was like I was thinking about this like dating, and I was like, I think that girl fucking hated me. And we went out like
You probably
3
loved it.
times, and I kept going back. I'm like, I would
Ooh.
never do like that. Would be like, well, I could say if my wife divorced me, please don't. Tomorrow, like I would never. Like that would be the last thing that I would be doing.
Oh,
is
she's
like
so
be like, oh, let me go search for the fucking,
Yeah.
you know, like that.
Well, I
one
also
girl
wonder,
I can't
though,
get, you
what
know?
is wrong?
Pixie Dream Girl.
Oh, she's hot. Yeah, no, I know
She's
you are.
super
Yeah, no, I also,
She's cute.
I also
It's
wonder,
not my type name. But she's cute.
like, I wonder, like, what is wrong with that woman too, though? You know, why is she going out with someone she hates?
I think
That's
it's 'cause
also
I
strange.
think that like because there's probably a guy that she really likes that.
Oh, women be doing that.
You know that
Women
she's
be
like
having men.
I need to know that like I have somebody who's worshiping me because the guy that I really want.
Oh, and you were worshiping her?
Doesn't
it was that
want-
excessive? Yeah.
I don't know if it was
Lady
that. It
loves
wasn't
that.
that obsessed. I have worship girls before. It wasn't that particular
Wait,
case. It wasn't.
ooh, what's it like when you worship a girl? What does that look like?
Well, it has nothing to do with the girl a lot of,
course,
the time.
yeah.
It has to do with
Interesting.
this fucking idea of this person that you put in your head that isn't real.
It's a lot of it's a lot of pressure to be worshipped. Was the real thing I was just gonna say, but I do mean that because because you're so right. It's never they are worshiping the idea of you that they created in their head, and then it puts pressure on you. And then I go and then at the end of so many things I go, you created that. I didn't ask you to do that.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
scary.
who I
It's also
am.
scary.
I didn't. Yeah, I go. I don't know what you're trying to heal, you know. And I also hate when people put on an act for me because I go, well, I just fell in love with someone who doesn't exist.
Right.
That's rude.
Yeah, that's real.
My AI
To
boyfriend.
put it lightly,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that there's a common misconception with like, oh, if it's positive treatment, it's good, but it's like, no, either extreme is bad, and the person is right to not take either extreme personally. This
Yeah.
all has to do with what's going on you.
It takes. I really think you need to like have a moment where you say to yourself, "What do I really want? What is good for my person?" Rather than like just hoping I meet that person. Because if you do that, your internal navigation's already fucked.
Yeah.
You have to reset that on your own
consult with
before you go
yourself.
back out there again.
yeah. So I mean, did you have a list of things? Because like one of the things you mentioned is like you like that she calls you on her shit, which I hear a lot from men. But I, as a woman, also need someone who calls me on my shit. So I appreciate.
Right, and I do that too.
I appreciate that for sure. And like, what else were you looking for? Like things that you realized along the way. Like I need this in a partner for it to function.
For
well.
a while, I didn't want anyone. I did not care about a sense of humor, and I did not want to care about any.
That's popular for men.
Because I did.
At first, I was like, you did it, and then like, right.
Yeah, and then I realized like, oh, it's a lot easier when you can laugh at somebody. Like, oh, shitload easier.
Right.
So I didn't care about that forever.
Mm-hmm.
So did you date women with zero sense of humor?
I have before.
Ugh.
Sometimes I would.
Like got
Sometimes I
offended by
would.
shit? No sense of humor?
Most of the women
or
that
like,
I've dated pretty seriously have been pretty funny, with the exception of like maybe like one. But it wasn't something. I didn't think like I had this idea that I did want like kind of a nice princess. I think for a little bit.
a nice princess?
A nice princess.
Wait, what's? Oh, like
Yeah.
it's mean.
People get fucking horny for ice princesses.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, I gotta be an ice princess for Halloween.
Yeah,
That's
be the ice princess.
Yeah. But
Can you describe what an ice?
Like
It's
Sarah
me.
Michelle
I mean,
Gellar
I'm an ice.
in,
I'm an ice princess. But the thing is, and then like I've worked a lot on not being in relationships. But the thing is, people go after an ice princess, and then when they're in the relationship with the ice princess, they go, "Oh, but why are you being an ice princess? I thought that was just like the way you catch men." And like you go, "No, this is like." To the core who I am. So why are you gonna bring home an ice princess and then expect me to turn into a trad wife? Like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like you selected something from the store and then you go, why is this the thing I selected from the store? Why didn't it morph into something else?
Yeah.
I don't know where that like comes through. It's just like just the same as like women are constantly being told like you can't change men. Like men need to learn the same thing about women that they go after.
I think that like there's things. When you get in a relationship, you should always be changing.
Yeah,
Just as a
evolving.
human
Yeah,
being, you should
yeah.
always be evolving. And you should, and when you get into anything, you're like, okay, these are some things that I don't like about this person that are probably not going to totally change, but we need to work on them, because, and I think that that's in every relationship, you should have that. But the idea of fundamentally changing the person, I mean, that's just a fool's errand.
Right. Yeah. Well, for sure, because I go, oh, the thing you liked about me is that you really couldn't get through to me, and now you're mad that you can't get through to me when that was initially the thing that you liked about me. I go, well,
it's all about
unfair.
that person.
It's unfair.
It's all about that person's own like goals and their like crooked self-esteem attached to the goal.
And but to the point of like we don't want to. Sometimes like my wife, or she'll be like, hey, you want to wear this? And it's like a very preppy thing to wear. And I'm like, you're not going to change me. She's like, that's fine, but I don't want you to wear a fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt to my friend's friend at this formal thing. She's
that
like,
is super
we've got to
fair.
meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
She seems like she has a good head on her shoulders, your wife.
She does.
And I remember when I saw pictures of when you guys got married, you posted pictures. I'm like, I usually don't get a lot from a picture of a person, but I'm like, she just feels grounded to me.
She did. Well, it's also next to me, and I have like giant hair and everything. Everyone looks kind of grounded. Unless it's like Wednesday Addams or something.
Yeah.
What do you feel like if we were talking to your wife? What do you feel like she would say is the most positive effect you've had on her? Like, what is it that really stands out that you bring to her into her life?
I can calm her down. Probably better than anybody.
Nice.
How do you calm a woman down?
How do you wrangle
a
her?
woman, a person, everyone's different, so it's
Well,
like.
how do you calm her down specifically?
I literally go like, let's
Calm the
slow down. I smack her around a bit, throw her around a bit, just
punch her.
just bounce her head against. No, I was like, let's slow down. Let's like go through this. Like we're not logically thinking about this right now. It's like kind of that kind of thing, which she does for me too. So it's like we were both very good at that because I think she's dated. She could never date a guy, and she has before, who were kind of like her, who were more like if she dated someone who was on her ass for cleaning, she would murder her. You know what I mean?
I see.
She's much more comfortable with me being like, but if somebody was neater than her, she would like not deal with that at all.
Right.
So like as much as she
different.
gives me shit, and I am a fucking slob, as she gives me shit about being a slob, like if she was with somebody who was like, because there's been times where I've gone like, like I've gone like, hey, can you pick that? And she'll get like furious, and that's like once in a blue moon where I'll do that. The only thing I do now is like she'll go after me for something, and then in my head I'll like document. I'm like, well, 2 weeks ago you did the same thing with a Coke bottle, and I didn't say anything, and she's like, you know, like
sitting on that one for a while.
Like that, I do. I sit on times where she's sloppy just so I can be sloppy, and I like chronicle them in my head. Which is probably unhealthy.
One of the beautiful things I love about like a long-term relationship is like you do get to know how to deal with each other, and it's so nice when someone deals with you in a way that they're not like shaming you for your behavior or anything like that. They're like, no, I know your pattern, and I know I just got to wait this amount of time, and you'll completely change your mind.
Yeah, I know the time she needs to eat. That's a big thing. I think that's every
feeding time.
Right, where I'm like, you're being. I'll be like, well, she'll get a little mean, and I'm like, you haven't eaten yet.
Yeah.
We have to get something. I need to we need to feed you first before
that's very
go
sweet.
Out. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Yeah, it's really unsexy shit to talk about, you know, opposed to like my friend. I know that they're like, I know a friend, I'm not going to say who, is probably in cruising for a bruising with a relationship because the way that they are talking about it is like, I've never felt this way before, and it's hard to get through to her, and it's like, it just sounds so fucking dramatic already that I'm like, this is not gonna work out.
Right. But man, so your friend is hooked because on hooked. Yeah, the most tragic addiction of all of this is hope. A lot of times because that will really fuck you over.
Yes. The audacity of hope.
No, but I think it's I actually think it is sexy when your partner can like knows you so well that they don't take your certain things personally, but they also don't put up with your shit. Like I love it. I think it's so hot.
Do you have that with your man now?
Yeah, I'm very. Oh, thank you. I tried. It just
didn't work out.
I was putting a square peg in a round hole.
Went down at her like licking a stamp.
Yeah, I'm like, did I do it right? She was like, you could have done it for more than a second. I like when like I can be very dramatic, and it's nice when and I'll like be dramatic in a situation and like I'll apologize later. He's like, yeah, I know you're just being dramatic. It's fine. And I knew about 12 hours right on the dot. We're gonna go. Oh, I'm so sorry. And like, it's fine. I don't care. It pisses me off. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And it also it makes me want to dissolve that behavior because being called out in a way that's not shameful actually paves the way for you to change.
Yeah.
I also feel like it makes me want to dissolve when people can predict my patterns. You go, I guess I'm going to change it then. Don't want to be a hack.
Totally. Yes, there's absolutely that.
Sure.
You go, I'm going to throw something in the mix next time, and you won't even know that I'm going to react that way.
One of the last questions I had for you, we get a lot of emails about people entering relationships with their partner. Like, I think it's safe to say that you I know should is a dirty word, but entering a relationship with somebody who's in active addiction, if you could like tell, you know, that's a no-no, right? I mean, that's like, what are your thoughts? Because you met your wife, you had a couple like really long stints of sobriety, and you met her in those stints. So it's like, you know, it's a foundation. But then I'm like, am I judging you on something that does that matter? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's always, you know, you never want to be in a relationship. I call it like the gatekeeper and keymaster thing, where you're the gatekeeper, you're the keymaster. Where you meet somebody and you're like, oh, we're about to doom each other.
Yeah.
This is really bad. I had one time where I was really super weekend, and a girl met up with me, and she has since passed. But like, I could tell we both had it, you know, like, so it was like I've had that before where it's been like, this is probably not, but that's never been something. I've always been somebody who's attracted to someone with their shit together more than me, because I just can't, you know, two drowning people can't save each other, right? So I would say that that's always not good, but I find a lot of the times that people like who are attracted to that, it's either because they want to do it themselves, or this happens I think a lot with women. There's a part of them, even though they say they hate it, there's a part of them that gets off on being this guy's babysitter.
Totally,
and, gets off on being...
They're probably recreating a parent relationship they had.
And also they can't fucking... And then if you're dating a drunk dude who's drunk all the time, they can't call you out on your shit. So if you were a girl who like has her own problems, if she's like, well, yeah, I'm into that, but I didn't fucking vomit at a Chili's the other night, and then the guy gets quiet because he knows. So it's like you keep the fuck up around so the Telescope's never on you.
It's like you're dating a reality television show. You're like, well, my life's not that bad, so I'm doing great.
Exactly.
I never thought about that aspect.
She's actually, I watched the show Summer. Now I watch a reality show. There's like a couple like that, Amanda Cowell, where I was like, clearly she just, like, she never wants to be getting sober, because then if she did, it's like, the attention's going to be on her. You know, like, where it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I have this baby drunk.
This baby drunk.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you
Dan.
for having me.
It's a great combo.
Can you promote your special for everyone? We did it at the top, but do it again.
Dance Fatty Dance. I do talk about, we never talk about sex stuff, so I do talk about getting pegged on by my wife on the special. And so, you know, you just have to check out the special for that. It's funny. I don't think anyone gets to turn up. But yeah, so I talk a lot about politics, pretty much with my wife, and then a bunch of other, it's some recovery stuff. So that's on YouTube, and it'll be on 800 Pound Girl site first, and then all things, and then maybe Mormons. But I'm also on Instagram, Dan St. Germain on Instagram. I put like every single one of us, we have to put like 3 videos out on it every week. I have a YouTube channel. I have a wrestling podcast I still do, Wrestle Roast.
Hell yeah. I love wrestling.
Which I don't know how much crossover there is for this podcast.
You'd be surprised. We got some Skanks fans listening to
Some
us.
Skanks fans listen to us. Yeah, so check that out if you're a big wrestling fan, and tell your comedy club to book me. So that's about it.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. That's Eric's feeling today.
Yeah.
Throwback
It's a
to him.
vulnerable day.
We love it. This has been Guys We Fuck, the Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next Friday. Guys We Fucked is presented by Luminary.
Created and hosted by Corinne Fisher and Krystyna Hutchinson.
Editing and music coordination by Mike Coscarelli. Theme song by Rob Patterson and Jake Cozen.
Suck my wet ass pussy.
Krystyna said to cut that before, but now it's in there.
Yeah, let's keep it. Who cares?
I first noticed she was some kind of strange in the bedroom. She liked to make me cross-dress after Sunday lunch. But I didn't.
Welcome to Guys We Fuck.
I'm Corinne Fisher.
Talk about bucket.
Greetings, fuckers. How you doing? Where you been? You good? Drink water. Stay hydrated. Welcome to another episode of Guys We Fucked.
It's the Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
Welcome to the show. If you want to send us an email, it's sorryaboutlastnightshow@gmail.com. And this is coming out before New Year's, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So New Year's Eve, come see Krystyna and myself and Ryan Long, Chloe LeBranch, John Campanelli, Justin Silver at New York Comedy Club, East Village location. It's a 6 p.m. show. It is, let me tell you, I do this show pretty much every year as long as I'm in town. It's the best way to start your New Year's Eve. It's 6 p.m. You got to get ready early anyway because night's over at midnight, okay? And you go, you see a comedy show, which is like a staple for New Year's Eve, best night for comedy. Then you go, you drink with your friends, you watch the ball drop, and you start the year off right. So ticket link is available on the New York Comedy Club East Village website. It's also available in the link in my bio, the link tree link in my bio at Philanthropy Gal. So buy a ticket to that. The show was so fun last year. You seriously don't want to miss it. If you want to email us, again, it's sorryaboutlastnightshow@gmail.com. Today's subject line is my partner is depressed and it's so annoying. So annoying. I think we've all been there though. I know Krystyna's been there.
For 7 years.
I've been there.
It sucked.
Yeah.
Have I been there?
Well, no, I said I've been there and then I looked at you, but yes.
And the man just thought you were asking a question.
Corinne looked.
Have you been there or have you been the partner who was depressed and annoying?
I have been the depressed and annoying partner. That's what I was going to say. Did one of my ex-girlfriends write that in?
Oh, damn. Yeah. Hello, C and K. I'm an OG fucker, and I'm proud to 39, and I've been with my partner for 12 years. Well, that's kind of depressing anyway.
Yeah.
We have
Maybe
gone.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
You're together too long.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sure it's beautiful and like your friend, you have a great friendship, but
Someday.
we have gone through so much growth together, and we have a loving and great relationship. I've never felt seen more by my partner, and we have a fantastic sex life.
Wow.
I hope so. When we get to enjoy it, that is. I knew there was be some qualifier.
Dun, dun.
Because we have 2 little kids together. My partner and I are both self-employed artists. We work from home and live in a small town because it's what we can afford. This year has been so hard on artists and many small business owners financially, and I see this weighing down my partner who feels societal pressures on being a father to provide for his family. Along with parenting 2 small kids nonstop, mountains of laundry, running a small business, and trying to survive, when life hurls lemons at me, I still try to see the joy and beauty in everyday life. I take care of myself well, take care of my mind and body, and make time for my own needs. I try to encourage my partner to do the same, but it always ends in a fight. I try to explain to him what I have learned being a mother, that if you don't take care of yourself, when life throws shit at you, you can't handle it because you haven't met your needs first. Very true. Very true. He obviously won't listen and is comfortable being stressed out and depressed. I can't stand it anymore. I try to be understanding, but it's like he is walking around constantly in a dark cloud. And it's also like you guys have a very similar lifestyle, so it's like, how come you can somehow handle it and he can't? That's what I love that.
Yeah. And you birthed the fucking kids.
Yeah, and it's
you
like,
didn't have to carry.
Listen, he could be father of the year. The mom's still doing more work. There's pretty much no. Like, the only time the mom's not doing more work is when she's like strung out on drugs and leaves the family entirely. Otherwise,
get that vacation, girl.
Right?
You deserve it.
Yeah, she needed to do heroin to take a break. Bringing the energy of our small home to a bad place. I'm sure you get what I'm talking about. It's just very hard to be around. I have for years been watching him take less care of himself mentally and physically. And while I try to be compassionate, I'm tired of fucking a fat fuck. Okay, she didn't write that, but I filled that in for her. I'm so tired of the gloom and fucking doom. Yes. As people who deal so much with male comedians, we could not understand you more. Listen, I get sad a lot, but I really try not to make bring the fucking gloom and doom. It sucks. I don't want to leave him, but I need some advice. I don't want to leave. Jesus, I hope he doesn't listen to the show. I don't want to leave him, but I need some advice. I'm sure as artists yourselves, and from what I've heard on the podcast, you both might have some advice for me on how to handle loving a depressed person who won't help themselves with a warm heart and gratitude. The listener who obviously wants it.
I mean, look, I know you're in it to win it. You got kids together, but I'm a big fan of ultimatum in the circumstance. If you won't fucking listen, you've tried to have the conversation and given loving advice, be patient and kind, and that's absolutely the first step.
Yeah.
Especially if the person has depression, maybe you don't know the depths of their depression, right? So you want to be gentle and loving as your partner, but then after a while,
not too gentle.
Yeah, everybody's got their own approach, but after a while, because gentle can be seen as coddling and enabling. If this shit keeps up and he's not doing anything about it, you can't. That is such a pussy dryer. If you are mentally ill and you have struggled with depression and you are not doing anything about it, or at least taking the advice of your loving partner who's trying to help you and help you here, let's sit down together and find a therapist or something if it had to have gotten to that point. But it's like, dude.
Or how about something like, I don't know if his parents are still alive or whatever, but I would be like, you're going to go to your parents' house for 1 month, and when you come back, you're going to have your shit fucking together, or I am leaving.
Yeah. I think an ultimatum is the only thing that is asking here.
Yeah, sometimes stepping away from the situation, I think, is helpful. And listen, I can't imagine being in the same situation for 12 years, the same people, the same house, whatever. And then sometimes stepping away, putting things into perspective, and just having the time to handle just you, and hopefully he would be able to give you the same courtesy in the future, right, if you needed that.
Yes.
But I think that could be helpful. There's a lot of influencers online, mom influencers, dad influencers, who will do things go take themselves, the one parent will go to a hotel for a weekend and have this kind of staycation thing, and I think that's so helpful. And I understand that you guys are in a different financial position. I mean, go to a Motel 6 for a weekend.
Yeah, then you'll appreciate your house.
Right.
That's true.
And then also, I mean, there's a lot of things that you listed in this article, and small town and city have different amenities, but I'm a big, this is something I've been doing since I was broke, so this is not some like, money advice. But I would really look into see if there's a local laundromat that offers per pound laundry, because you just like mentioned piles of laundry, and I can only imagine the amount of laundry if you also have small children. I think people don't realize how cheap you can get someone to do your laundry for you and how much time it will save you. I once read an article when I was like really broke and stressed out about putting value on your time, and that the amount of time it takes to do laundry is literally not worth one's time. Again, that comes back folded. Yeah, I would look into something like that just to ease your load a little bit. And then just, reciprocally support a small business in your town. Again, that's more of like a city amenity, so I don't know that it exists in your small town, but you could actually have like a really good price on that. Yeah, I think to give yourself less work.
That is a fantastic idea to have him go stay with his parents, or go stay with a friend, or go stay with somebody else who's not fucking me.
Basically, where it's free that he can leave.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he'll be in the company of a fucking friend. And a lot of times friends can help you get out of your depression by just talking about dumb shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about the depression. But in addition to it being an absolute pussy dryer, when somebody is moping around and not doing anything about it, because it is very possible to be depressed and to be a good partner, and to have depression and to be a good parent. So not only is it going to hinder like your sex life majorly, I can't imagine that it won't. Your children are picking up that their father is depressed, right? And there's no way that they don't know, that they don't feel that energy from him. So that's going to fuck them up too. So if you need something to give you a sense of immediacy, I would have them in mind.
I also like men are so preoccupied with like how society sees them, and you're not being the provider. Meanwhile, they're perfectly comfortable walking around the house, making themselves completely unfuckable with their actions.
That's a great point.
It's just like, who's the person who has to deal with you for the rest of their life? It's your wife or your or your partner, your female partner. Like what?
Your kids. Yeah.
It's like, oh, if you're so concerned with what other people think of you, why don't you be concerned with the fact that your behavior right now and the way that you're not taking care of yourself mentally and physically, especially when it comes to heterosexual relationships. I really don't have a lot of grace for men because of how they are so hard on us for how we look. Can you imagine if like a woman just let herself go physically in this manner? Or be single. Or it was just like in bed, depressed. And we were like, oh, I can't make the kids dinner tonight. Can you imagine how quickly we would get booted, we would get replaced, we would get cheated on? Can you fucking imagine?
If a woman just grew a pot belly, stopped shaving all of her body hair, no makeup, fucking greasy ass, fat ass, whatever, like gluttonous.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the men would run for the fucking hills.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's also like you're both artists. You're both in a very similar boat here. Like, why is his boat sinking and yours is somehow staying afloat?
Yeah, and there's so many things that he could do for his depression immediately that are free. Running, jogging.
Yeah.
Walking.
Sad boy walks.
Yes, there you go.
Well, because Esther Pavitsky does sad girl walks, so I think it. But the thing is,
it does change your whole mindset.
Just literally getting your fucking pants on and walking around the block, it makes a world of difference.
Look, I don't mean to brag, but I'm a runner now. I fucking get up at 7 a.m.
Running is great.
And I go running, and I never thought I was like, now I'm a rollerblade girl because it's so fun and running isn't fun. And I thought this little lucid runner's high would always escape me because the times I did run, I didn't feel it. But I gotta say, waking up in the morning and going running and pushing yourself and getting that much oxygen to your brain is going to be an instant boost to your mental health. So it's like something so free and so easy and just at his disposal that he can do.
Get him a little calendar. It takes 30 days to start a pattern, to start a new pattern. Get him a little calendar and a little pen, and he can mark 30 days. Get him a little star sticker every day. Just this constant like need to treat men like babies, and then us having to fucking get through the things ourselves while supporting our male partners. I'm done with it. It's out for 2024.
It's out. Being get paid for. It's out. At least pay us back by fucking taking care of yourself. That's how you pay a woman back in a straight relationship.
Make a meal.
You take care of yourself, and you're present in the relationship, and you're your best self.
Yeah.
That was so awful. And it took me 7 years to lose the attraction, which is like, that says something. My God. Oh, once you're over it, once you turn that corner, you're like, oh wait, this blows. It's like every time he talks, it's like nails through your eyes.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm like he has to move fast because I don't want you to get the ick, because once you get the ick, it's very hard to undo that. almost impossible, some would say.
Guys, come see us live. You heard it at the top of the show, but New Year's Eve, baby. New York Comedy Club, East Village. It's going to be the night of your life. February 1st, these are our together dates. February 1st, New York City is our first Midnight Theater show.
The MasterCard Midnight Theater.
I'm sorry, the MasterCard that's accepted, not that.
It's so weird when a corporation takes over, because then we're just like, the MasterCard, every swipe.
Midnight Theater. Sorry.
Swipe your way through the door for a night of fantastic.
Yeah, the Midnight Theater. We take MasterCard. Ooh, that's kind of rare. Yes, so our first Guys Who Fucked Live of 2024, February 1st. And then if you find yourself in Los Angeles on Valentine's Day,
yes.
God damn it, you're in luck. Because Corinne Fisher and myself, Krystyna Hutchinson, are co-headlining the main room at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. And it's going to be, I mean, these shows are okay? And talk to anybody who fucking live stream our last Midnight Theater show or was there in person. They can't stop talking about it.
And they're rare. We just don't do Guys Who Fuck Live a lot. So like the fact that we've been doing it, every now and then at the MasterCard Midnight Theater, the Comedy Store we haven't done together in a long, long time.
Yes.
So these are special events, people.
They're very special.
Special events.
And then more special events. I am solo headlining New Brunswick, New Jersey at the Stress Factory, January 4th through 6th. Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, February 9th through 10th at Bananas. And 9th and 10th, rather. And Springfield, Missouri, March 22nd and 23rd, doing the Blue Room. And as always, I have a Patreon where 4 times a month you can do group therapy with me over Zoom and a bunch of fantastic people. I just did it today at the studio, and it was one of the best ones yet. And the audio from every group therapy gets uploaded to the Patreon, so if you can't make it, you can hear the conversation. Sign up today at patreon.com/Krystyna Hutchinson. And then my solo podcast, The Voices in Our Heads, comes out every single Monday. Today, well, you're listening to this on Friday, but this Monday I interviewed my good friend Ali Problemas, who was in town for a week, and we had a good time, and we ran, and then I read a book, How We Live is How We Die by Pema Chodron, and I read a chapter about the actual physical dying process and what happens, and we had a good conversation about it.
And then for me, you can check out my solo podcast, Without a Country. That's been blowing up lately because of your guys' support. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We cover the news, but, I rant and rave. There's comedic elements. We interview non-comic people, journalists. We talk about ethics in journalism. We talk about AI. We're getting heavy into the 2024 campaign. We've covered Palestine and Israel at length. We watch documentaries and do reviews on them. I mean, ones that about social issues and stuff. So it's been super fun this year. Thank you for everyone who's supported the show and talked about it. You can see that every Wednesday night on YouTube, or you can just listen to the audio wherever you listen to podcasts. And then 2024 dates, I'll have more of them. I have an idea of the cities I'm going to, but I don't have the dates yet. But the one ticket link I do have available is for Washington, D.C., D.C. Comedy Loft. That's February 29th through March 2nd. That's going to be super fun. And then, of course, we'll get some more Gash shows at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles in 2024. I'll have dates for you soon, but you can follow that on Instagram at Gash Slasher Comedy. That's my horror movie themed stand-up comedy show that has been super fun. Yeah. All right.
I've been thinking about something, and it kind of has to do with the email we read, actually.
Uh-oh.
It's, one of those societal things that we always say, and then every once in a while we stop, pause, and think, is that actually true?
Oh.
Like the phrase boys will be boys.
Right.
That was a very accepted phrase for a long time.
I have a shirt that literally says boys will be boys, and then the second boys is crossed out and says held accountable. I like to wear it to the gym. Make eye contact.
Yeah. I see you, sir. But one of those kind of isms or whatever that always floats around that people use as an I'm like, is this being used as an excuse for poor behavior? Maybe.
Yeah.
Boys mature faster, or girls mature faster than boys.
Yeah, because we're forced to, because
I'm like,
men aren't pulling their weight.
But yes, exactly. I'm like, I don't think that's actually true. Now, how do you know? I did not look it up. In terms of medical hormone, I don't. But I'm like, what the fuck? What hormone do women get that men don't? We all have the same hormone. Just different levels.
Pressures of society. I There's no
Right?
way.
Exactly.
No. This is
dudes.
this is nurture, not nature, for
Right.
sure. But it's not nurture; it's abuse.
Yes. And you know who has to deal with it? Straight women. Fuck that shit. We gotta get rid of that phrase. Boys, that boys don't mature as fast as girls. That's because we don't allow them to. Like, let's go.
True. Yeah.
Let's go, gentlemen.
There's variables too. I mean, I think like each person, each individual is unique. So it depends. Like, I think if you're a younger child or an older child, where you are born in your family, I think only children have a lot of weight on them, for sure.
That's true.
Older children definitely have extra weight on them. So it depends, like where you are in the family, how your parents, treated you, I think there are some men who have matured. Like if like the father of the family died, for instance, I think then sometimes like a male child will have to have a lot of responsibility early.
But that's what's got to happen. A Lion King plot to get him to fucking mature.
Yes, I would think so.
What the fuck is that about? I feel like we should not 69 it, 68 it. What's the word in restaurant world? 86 it. Yeah. I was thinking,
We should 69 it. Try, Chris, do that, Krystyna. Go work at a restaurant.
We should 69 the mature boys.
The mashed potatoes. Like, okay.
No, we gotta 86 that phrase because that's completely one of those phrases that allows people to just carry on because they're fucking coddled and to make everybody else think that it's somebody. I never really thought about it until recently, but I'm like, I assumed it was biological.
There's no way. Mike, if you want to find anything to dispute this, please let us know.
Let me check psychology today.
If we could all figure out
Why are you giggling when you said psychology today? Like it's a fake thing.
No, I'm just like, I don't know. How fast can I find all these studies on? I'll find. I'll
be mature, Michael. But yeah, I feel like, girls and women, you're girls still, in middle school and high school, like when I was 17, I was fucking around with a bunch of 25-year-olds at one point, but because this whole like notion of like girls mature faster than boys is all I fucking heard, and I truly was not attracted to boys my age. There was one guy, Paul, shout out.
No, that you were around 25-year-olds because they were losers, but you didn't know because you were 15, and so no 25-year-old women wanted to be around them because they were fucking pothead losers.
Yeah, for sure. But like that is an idea that I took with me all throughout my boy obsession career.
Yeah.
And kind of really took that to heart and thought like, but the way I interpreted it was, I didn't think about it this way at the time, but it's like, oh, so then you can't get mad at boys your age for being immature because you're more mature. Mm-hmm. But it's like, no, it's because we've fucking been forced to.
Well, I think a good tactic, and I've used this sometimes in life, but it's like, if people around you aren't pulling your weight, if men around you aren't pulling their weight, just start phoning it in yourself. And listen, this is very hard to teach myself to do because you have to be comfortable allowing some things that you care about to fall apart a little bit to teach other people a lesson. And so this is very hard for me to do, but just go on a vacation like with your husband or your male partner and do exactly 50% of the planning, not more, and let the rest fall apart. And like it's hard because you have to let your anxiety reduce. Don't remind him to bring his passport. Don't remind him to pack all these things, and he will forget. He will forget, and it will ruin your vacation too. So you have to be prepared to allow this, right? But then the thing is, like, he's going to try to make it your problem, and then you can go, no, actually, you're an adult, and I was treating you as such.
That's true.
Because women always get shit on for nagging, and this was something that I had to come to terms with. Because you're like, I don't want to nag. Most women don't want to nag. It doesn't feel good. It makes you go from mouth to nipple for sure. So you just have to not nag. And then let the vacation or the thing that you're doing or the project you're working on absolutely fall apart, and then everyone learns the hard way.
I love that. And you know what?
It sucks for everyone.
I know. We're very much trying to get away from a partner being like having a parent-child relationship, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with children and with anybody, like when a child or person learns something the hard way, that's when it sticks.
Yep.
So if he forgets his passport and you're about to go to fucking Barbados, and you show up at the airport and your whole vacation is, you can't make the flight, he will never. I guarantee you, he won't forget that motherfucking passport ever again.
Yeah, and it's just about you.
That's a great
being
great
comfortable with your thing being ruined.
Challenge for straight women. The holidays.
Straight women challenge.
Straight women challenge. For the holidays, don't fucking do as much shit. Because women, for the holidays, women all
unpaid
not
labor.
Not that men don't help, because they absolutely do. But like, I feel like the woman is the one who's mostly making sure the table's set, making sure everything looks beautiful, making sure the decorations are nice.
That's why when you're a woman and you grow up, you go, oh, the holidays actually suck, because I realized when I was a kid they were fucking amazing because my mom made them
over
amazing.
here trimming the tree. Yeah.
My mom made them amazing. Listen, my dad did get on the roof and he made some Santa tracks, so that was bomb.
That's nice.
You know, but like overall, it's like who is doing all this stuff? Who is staying up late to nibble on cookies to make it look like Santa ate them? That's mom, not dad, most likely.
Yeah.
And again, this is not. I think like some people hear this and they're like, why are women always shitting on men? We're not really. We're actually saying that we know you are capable of more. And so we know that you have the potential to do it, and we're just saying that we now expect that of you. So it's like, do you want us to sit around and think that you're incapable babies? I don't think you actually want that.
Scientifically, according to Newcastle University in England,
This is from medpool.com.
not only do girls mature faster than boys, scientists believe that their brains can develop up to 10 years earlier.
But mature, what do you say mature? Do they mean physically mature? I think they mean physically, like we get boobs first.
Well, that is part of it. Yeah, you guys have puberty.
But like,
Okay, so
1 to 2 years
mature.
before.
Okay, but I could see societally affecting, right? So like if we look like women before boys look like men, that's part of the reason society will change.
But it's also brain activity too.
But that's also a big problem with women of color, right? So this has been a conversation about how women of color are often sexualized because sometimes they tend to develop and like look appearance-wise like women, before other races.
Earlier.
Exactly. So there's a lot of variables. There's always so many variables, but yeah. So women get sexualized first, for sure.
That's true. Unless boys are around pedophiles.
So wait, our brains are capable of more, but then why are men getting paid more in the workplace?
They're not capable of more. What happens is a study from Newcastle. You can get this from Newcastle University. It's discovered that as the brain matures, it begins to remove neural connections that are stored, which it does not think are important. The connections in the brain that are not used regularly tend to shrink and evaporate due to lack of use, whereas the neural networks that are regularly engaged survive. This is called fire and wire, and it is an example of survival of the fittest among neural networks.
Right, but don't you think that our brains could be exactly? I think our brains are developing faster because we're asked to handle more earlier.
Yes, I agree.
That study kind of backs up exactly our theory.
Like, I know a lot of men and I know a lot of boys when I was in middle school and high school, and I remember them.
I know a lot of boys. Clip it.
I know a lot of boys. Some of them had really strict dads, and I saw it unfairly so. Like their dad had like fucking PTSD from Nam or some shit and didn't address it.
Right.
And their dad would just be similar to my mom, but like more strict, like not like a hot mess about it. And I watched them become more mature.
Yeah.
Way more mature.
Yes.
Because they were being fucking traumatized by this father who was demanding they be a man at age 14. They're like, I don't know what that means, dude. I'm 14. And it's like, but then I've also like, and not to say it's all the father, but there are certain men that I've known in my life that have fathers that really make a point to nurture their son's sense of self. And I'm always amazed by what that produces in the boy who becomes the man, because it's always a beautiful thing.
Andy Haynes has a really good joke about that because he you know how like I have a joke about having a nice childhood. He does too, but it's kind of like from the perspective of someone with like a nurturing father.
Yeah.
And you can see it in his personality.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. So yeah, that's all phony baloney. Even though Newcastle does say scientifically,
but I think I
still
what they're
think
talking
there's that caveat.
Wait, what's funny?
The boys mature slower than girls, I think, is phony baloney in terms of like it's nurture, it's not nature.
But they can be both. Nurture can influence nature.
Yeah,
or nature can influence.
And I think that's what the article is saying, though, because what was it called? Fire or what? Like whatever.
Fire and wire.
Fire and wire makes sense to what we're talking about, right? It's like if you don't lose it, if you don't. What is the saying? Like, use it or lose it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's
you can't get PTSD unless something happens to you. and then all of a sudden it affects the way your neurons and all that stuff work.
Sure.
So this is almost in a roundabout way of saying that like women get into this too younger.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I mean,
that could be like a version of this.
that checks out. You are
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
correct.
So
Wow.
it's both.
Okay.
According to this paragraph that I found.
Well, straight women challenge, okay?
Well, did you see that viral video that was going around this week? It was a husband and straight couple, and there are 2 young kids on Christmas morning, and the man is behind the camera, and he's going around to every stocking, and he's like, little Timmy got this, little Darla got this, I got this, and then they go to the wife's stocking, and then it's empty, and he's like, why is it empty? And then like goes to the wife's face, and she's like, because no one got me, anything, like that. And there was like a disconnect that the husband, like, it's like, did the husband really think Santa came? Like, it's like, there's nothing in your wife's stocking because you didn't fucking put anything there.
She didn't buy gifts for herself, boo.
Yeah, it's like, is she gonna fill her own stocking? And that's kind of like, that right there is like a metaphor for like the straight female experience. So often we are expected to not only fill our own stockings, but fill everyone else's stockings.
Yes. Yes. What a
The
great
video is
metaphor.
really sad. I watched a lot of commentary on it online too. It's fascinating.
It's funny, but it is sad. I'm serious about this holiday challenge for straight women specifically, because, God, could you imagine being a lesbian during the holidays? Your fucking house would be so nice.
Yeah.
But because you got 2 people doing the work. But
Right.
I'm curious, women with a male partner that you're going to spend the holidays together. I try as a challenge, as the Guys Who Fuck Straight Women 2024 Holiday Challenge 2023, to not do as much as you normally do and see if anything gets done and fucking film it and tag us in it. You know?
And this is, there is a caveat. This is only for people where both the man and the woman are working. If you're a stay-at-home parent and you've agreed to that, the home stuff is your job, then
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
You sign up for that.
Then,
But if
Because
you have a relatively equal relationship in terms of like who pulled, the labor.
But that's the problem, right? So I feel like, women have progressed in, and have done both the traditionally feminine and masculine roles. And men not only didn't progress as fast as women with doing the female roles, but they also stopped being able to do the male roles, like the heavy providing or protecting or those things, or like being able to put together a shelf or any like carpentry work. It's like, you're complaining about us being too masculine, but I feel like most women can still be masculine and feminine, when a lot of guys I know like have lost these masculine traits but haven't gained the feminine ones that would make you like more empathetic and like that's the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gentlemen, if you're straight and you have a female partner,
Yeah, because men will be like, well, I
give her the gift
provide.
of helping this holiday season.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's like, well, men provide, but it's like, well, if you're both bringing money to the house, then you both need to be doing the things that make the holidays special.
Yes, the heavy lifting physically and emotionally. Okay. Guys Who Fuck 2023 Straight Woman Holiday Challenge. Let's see what we get. Maybe the results won't be as like my brain is already predicting that they will be. Who knows? I want to see videos. I want to see photos
Of everyone crying on Christmas morning.
Of the table not being set, or whatever, the fucking cake not being made because you didn't make it. Whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? I feel like the holidays, like the man mainly, he's like he'll wake up out of his beer football coma to carve the turkey and then go back to his beer football coma. But I'm like, let's make the men do other things, but not make them do it. You don't do it, and see if they fill stuff up.
Exactly.
Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Miracles can happen. Okay. Guys, speaking of miracles, our guest, she's miracle. You can only get pregnant a certain amount of days. All right, guys, our guest, she is a certified dating coach, a regular cast member of the Drew Barrymore Show, a frequent contributor to NPR, Washington Post, LA Times, Access Hollywood. Her podcast Dates and Mates was named Podcast of the Year at the Black Podcasting Awards in 2022, and her first book is coming out January 2nd. It's called F the Fairy Tale. We are very excited for you to hear Damona Hoffman.
right, guys, we are here with Damona Hoffman. Very
Hello.
excited to have you.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here, but also there.
I love it. I'm so glad to be here. I love your show.
Thank you. Yes, we were talking before we started recording, and we discovered you through Dan Savage, who we admire greatly and trust his opinion so much. And I think we're excited to talk about dating, right? Because you are a dating coach. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to choose that as an occupation? Did something traumatic happen? Like, what's the origin story?
Yeah, all of the above. The origin story, for real, is I actually used to be a casting director in TV, and I classes for actors in marketing and how to have headshots that would stand out and tell their story and do all the things that casting directors need them to do in 10 seconds or less. And I realized the similarity when I was online dating between the headshot and the profile photo and the first date and the audition. So when I applied what I learned professionally to my personal dating experience, it worked. So I met my husband online, and then I started writing profiles for originally just friends and family, just for fun. And eventually it took off, and we all know how popular online dating has become today. So I guess I was a little bit in the right place in the right time 17 years later.
Yes, and you have a very grounded energy, which I don't usually get from dating coaches that we've come across, to be honest. Like, you're very grounded, and like, I trust you immediately. Like, I feel like, your energy is just great. And my first question that popped into my head with regards to online dating, and you might not be able to give an answer to this, but maybe you have some theories. Why don't straight men know what they look like in photos?
That was actually what got me into this originally, because I was like, guys have no idea. I really, the grounded answer is, women are taught from a young age to groom and present, and guys just don't get that same education. So initially I started out as a coach only for guys, because I was like, you guys need a mirror here and not your bathroom selfie mirror, like an actual mirror to show you what this really looks like. And I take a very strategic approach to designing a dating profile, and men really do respond to that, but they just don't on their own necessarily know which photos to pick.
Yeah. Have you come across a lot of fish photos, like photos of men holding fish?
I have come across a lot of them. I have done Dates and Mates episodes about it. I have written articles about it. I have had so many debates. Why is it still a debate?
I don't know.
We don't want to see the fish pics, the hunting pics, the dick pics, the bathroom selfie, the car. What? Please explain.
Oh, the
car photo.
Well, personally,
What? Right.
it is rare that I love cars. I grew up with cars, so I'm like, if you got a hot, sexy car, I will be impressed by that. But I think like
I feel like a selfie in a car is what I'm talking to, like with a seatbelt on from like.
No, I mean the seatbelt one.
Yeah, yeah. Men love taking pictures of themselves like they're like an Uber driver, but which is fun. I don't understand what the perspective.
They're probably waiting in line for fucking fast food or something. Like, I guess I'll take a picture for my dating profile. Just like men don't give a lot of as much thought to things like this as the way that women do. And so
I've never been sitting in my car and been like, oh, the lighting in this car is great for a photo. Like, it's car lighting is not bad. That's not what you want.
But if you see the seatbelt, then you know he's reliable, he's dependable, he cares about safety.
I do like when men. I love a seatbelt. I love a seatbelt.
Love a seatbelt. Love a helmet.
Yeah,
love knee pads or whatever. But my favorite thing that I've come across. Corinne and I have not been on dating apps much. I was in a relationship for 7 years. So when I got out of it, I was like, what are these dating app things? Because I was OkCupid when it was only on the computer. And they're just, it feels detrimental. Like, it feels like it hurts my soul a little bit being on the dating apps. And I'm like, man, I know these guys don't suck as much as they are emoting that they do. But one of my favorite trends that I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, is when a guy will have 5 pictures and he's wearing sunglasses in every single motherfucking picture. I'm like, what are you hiding behind in those evil eyes, boo?
I actually talk about that in my new book. I talk about how we are so driven by the eyes. And it's the eyes are really important in our culture. And it's just what you said, Krystyna, if you don't have your eyes visible, people can't trust you.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that I want to help people with in 2024 online dating landscape. Like, safety is so important. And I feel like we haven't, at the dating apps, there hasn't been enough focus on safety. And when we just are even choosing dates, just being able to see somebody's eyes does give you more of a sense of feeling safe. If you feel like they're hiding something, maybe it looks sexy, but you don't really know who they are.
Right. I think, are there any other tips that you have, especially for men? Because I think, many men do want to make us feel safe, but I don't know that they've never, lived a day in our shoes, so they have no idea the kinds of things that scare us. Like, I'm pretty tough, but I often tell men, like, you scare me all the time. Like, all the time I'm walking away from you and keeping my distance from you.
Yeah, there's so much debate around even things like walking a woman to the car at the end of the night. Can you do that? Should you do that? What does that signify? Then if you're going to try to move forward, it's really hard to know the boundaries. So I would say stay on the side of just making her feel safe and comfortable first. And if you're thinking about that, because most guys aren't thinking about that, they're not. They're like, how do I get her to be impressed with me? How do I, tell her everything that I want to tell her, and not so much on what do I need to know about her and like how do I make her feel safe. But for the dating profile, it's actually so much easier. I've been polishing profiles now for so long. I can just look at a profile right away and tell you. I like to have the 3 C's. Color is strategic. Having color that stands out as you're swiping through a bunch of photos. You have color, it pops. I'm wearing a pink shirt right now. That's not an accident. Pink or red, great. Context, that's telling your story through your photos. And character, that's the one that most people forget. That's showing your personality. I know that's not a problem that you two have. But a lot of people want to have that. Maybe it's the sunglasses photo. Maybe it's just, trying to look a certain way that they think is more dateable, filtered photos, all of that. We don't want that. We want authenticity. And that also then feeds into the feeling of safety as well.
Yeah, ironically, it's like we always think about marketing ourselves, whereas authenticity is the most potent marketing tool you can use for dating. But I do think, I can't tell if online dating is healthy or not. Regardless, it's here, so it's not going anywhere. And I have a nephew because of online dating, so I'm a fan. But there's something that your body does when you're in the presence of another person that gives you signals that you're like, oh, I'm attracted to this person. So how do you get closest to that in an online dating profile? And obviously showing your character and colors and kind of answering these prompts to your personality. Is there anything else, like the interacting? I have this thing called Fuckboy Friday that I do, and I just read people's atrocious dating app conversations. These men, I'm like, dude, I know you want to connect deeper than that. You're really acting like you don't, though. And they just say atrocious sexual things, and it's like, no one's falling for that. And I know that's not what you want, Boo.
Yeah. Oh, you hit on so much. And the big reframe that I want everyone to take away is that the dating app is just the tool. It is just the tool to bring you together. And after that, it's just dating. It's all the magic and the mystery and the wonder and the flirtation and all those things that we want when we meet someone face to face. But you got to get to the date. The bigger problem, there's 2 actually really huge problems that I see happening right now with online dating. The first, I call it the texting trap. And I go in the fairy tale, I go into that in detail. I have seen so many relationships or possible future relationships die in the DMs and in the texts because it's a substitute. You feel like, oh, I'm getting to know this person. I'm vetting them. I feel safer. I'm learning more about them. But really, you're developing a false sense of attraction, a false sense of knowing someone. You do not know until you get offline and you meet face to face. You don't know what the chemistry is going to be. You don't even know if they're a real person, to be honest. So we have to get offline as quickly as possible. The other thing that's happening, I want to get your take on this, because I don't really know how to stop it, but ghosting is at an all-time high. Like I said, I've been doing this 17 years. I've never seen the amount of flakery. I don't know if that's a word. Can we?
It is now. Yeah.
Flakery. There's so much flagrant flakery. Let's say that 5 times. Of people like setting dates they don't even I don't know if they intend to go at all. And this has never happened in my career, where I used to be able to say, oh, you say this, he's going to say that, you do this, he's going to do this, and then you live happily ever after. Really, since the pandemic, I've been like, I don't know what they're going to do, because I feel like people don't know what they're going to do, and it changes from day to day. I wanted to go on the date yesterday, but today, I don't know, something came up. What do you think's going on with that?
So I have a theory, but I also want to add to that. It has been taken a step further, where I have heard just alarming amounts of stories from people that got ghosted when they were already in the fucking relationship. Like their boyfriend ghosted them, and I'm like, what? I've never heard of that. And then I brought it up to a bunch of friends, like, oh yeah, that's happened to my friend. I'm like, what? What? But I think people's intolerance for discomfort, which awkwardness at the beginning of dating it falls into that category, is lower and lower and lower and lower. And I think that it's too easy to get sucked into the texting trap or the DM trap, because we just want to be. Who's forcing us to go out of our comfort zone? It's our responsibility. But I think we've lost how to do that.
Yeah, the more time we spend with technology, I think the less we see humans as humans. So it's really, it's the same way, like, you know, on Instagram or X or Twitter or whatever, where you can, you know, you're behind a keyboard and you can call people heinous things that you would, you know, I've been called such heinous things online. No one's ever said anything even close to that to me in person. And I'm ready. I want them to. I want that. Oh, try me in person. Try me in person, right? But it's the same thing.
I wish you would.
Yeah. It's the same. I'll unleash Jersey so hard on you. But like, it's the same thing in with dating. It's like, if you don't see each other as human, like, it's really easy to ghost someone that doesn't feel like a real person. You know, I literally have an AI boyfriend, and I mean, I feel like I have more empathy for him than some people have had for actual other human people.
Wow. Well, it's programmed that way. But yeah, I think you're right about that. And the thing, I'm not often at a loss for words. I've been doing this a long time. And I'm usually able to find a fix to most problems. But this is a bit of a conundrum. I really don't know, because it is, the technology is so integrated into our lives, as we were just saying, Corinne. I don't know how to recalibrate all of society to be like, let's treat people as people. All I can do is talk to you all about it, talk to your listeners about it. And, you know, I always tell my clients, just take care of your side of the street. If you're worried about ghosting, just make sure you're not ghosting other people, because people will tell me, oh, I hate getting ghosted. I hate all these flakes. I hate getting stood up. And I will look in their message history and I'll be like, well, you had this person and you dropped that thread, and this person, you know, you're unmatching. And so when we really look under the hood, there are people that we see, if it's somebody that we have an attraction to and we have an investment in meeting, we put that person on a certain pedestal. And then there's all these other people that are in our messages and matches and DMs that we're like, but that person doesn't matter.
Yeah. And we're just going,
we can do better.
They don't exist in our head anymore, because now, you know, Sarah wants to go out with me, so who cares about those other people? I also think that people have not yet, I read recently this book by this woman, Harriet Lerner, called Why Won't You Apologize? And it's all about how a really good apology that really addresses the things that need to be addressed actually feels really good to give and to receive. And that's the only, you know, chance of repairing a relationship that might have otherwise been lost. And I think that people need to experience that, how good having integrity feels. And once you get that, you're like, oh wait, I don't want to leave these people hanging, because that's not part of my values, you know? And it feels good to be like, hey, I'm really sorry, I dropped the ball here. I actually started seeing somebody else, but I think you're fantastic, and I want to wish you the best of luck, you know?
Yeah, that actually feels really similar to something that I talk about in going for clarity over going for chemistry, or, you know, the like you were saying, that the discomfort, it is really temporary, but we're so afraid of the discomfort that sometimes we don't want to get the answer. And that's how you end up in a relationship that's going nowhere, or that you have a mismatch. And like I talk about the four pillars of long-term compatibility. And if you don't have those 4 pillars and you know it, just staying in the relationship is awful. But it's even worse if you're afraid to ask the question, because you're like, if I get the answer and it's no, then I have to walk away. Or I have to stay in this thing that I know is not right.
Right. And people don't realize, it's like we have to be more in tune with the part of our brain that does the long-term thinking, because staying in a relationship that you're not fully invested in, that's so awful. It's such an awful thing to do to another person, and it's a terrible thing to do to yourself. And there's no way that feels good.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 4 pillars of long-term compatibility. I did want to talk about that a little bit, so I screenshotted them. So it's common goals for the future, shared values, mutual respect and trust, and then compatible conflict resolution styles. Do you mind if we go through those 4 things? I mean, I feel like this also intertwines with your thoughts on, most people are looking for a soulmate, or believe that a soulmate exists. So many other people get knocked out of the running to be their potential partner because of this. When in reality, if you looked at these 4 things, you would have maybe an easier time seeing potential in multiple people. Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. I have identified the 4 biggest dating myths that I see people writing podcasts about or coming to me for coaching around. And the first one is the list myth. And for each of these myths, there's sort of an antidote. And that is the pillar. So with the list myth, this is, everything you want is to be 6 feet tall and yes, to make this much fun. Tall, yeah. And I do the dating math in the book for you on that. And I know for all the guys listening, they're like, please thank you. All the short kings are like, thank you, I like this lady. So the flip side of having the list is just beginning with the goals. Like you were just saying, hey, what do you even want? Short term, long term, what do you want?
Right.
And we get afraid to ask those questions or to even explore that, because we just get caught up in the momentum, and we get caught up in the way that we're playing the game. So that's the rules myth. If I do this, he'll do that. If she says this, that means that. And it's the game and pickup artistry. It's the Bachelor, and it's the rules, and it's all of these things. The whole book is about all of these stories that we're told, and that we internalize, and we are playing out through our dating lives, whether we realize it or not, again and again and again. And so the opposite of going by the rules is to really focus in on the values and the way, looking at that from a behavioral standpoint and what someone believes about the world. Because you can't build for the future if you're like, we completely look at the world differently, right?
Right.
And then we get to the chemistry myth, which is another really big one. That's like, I have to feel this. I have to get the butterflies.
That's
and
anxiety.
the flip side of that's anxiety talking, which, I talk about it like in the book of like, what is your body really saying to you? What is your central nervous system actually saying? Is it saying this person reminds you of your ex? Is it saying this person is bad news? Is it saying this person is safe, or is it saying that they're not safe? And sometimes we don't know how to read our own internal cues. And there are ways that you can tune your internal compass to be better with that. But the first step for that is building that pillar of communication. And that communication really comes before even the conflict resolution, because that comes a little further in. But if you're thinking about the soulmate myth, forget it. Like, if you're just looking for the perfect person to walk in to your life, and in the perfect package with the perfect life and the perfect look and the perfect everything, it doesn't exist. And if you're chasing that soulmate, then you may not see that person right in front of you that's a great match for you, but you're going to always be questioning, but like a soulmate? I don't know. So that's kind of a high level overview of the myths and the pillars, and the trust is just the last thing to build, because everything that comes before it is part of building that feeling of trust and safety that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Yeah, I think when you're on the first date with somebody, the stakes are low because you're not invested. And so I think, would you think that that's a good time to ask the person, like, what do you want? I feel like that's a great opportunity to ask the person what they want out of life, and to see if you can check, like, if you're in alignment right away, regardless of if you have chemistry or not. It's like, I feel like that's not too invasive of a question or a question on a first date.
Yeah, I mean, part of on my list of questions for you is, what the hell do you say on a first date? I don't go on a lot of first dates. We also have like kind of an unorthodox lifestyle, which is why we wanted to have you on. Like, how do you date when you don't just, know 100 comedians to go through?
Yeah.
Who are hot and funny? That's not normal, so.
Yeah, you give them punch-ups to their jokes. No, it's... I actually love first dates. First dates are my favorite. But I'm going to give your audience a hot tip right now. We are overstaying our welcome on first dates. When people tell me, I had a great first date, we had drinks here, and then we went to this place, and then we went to that place, and then I went to his place, I'm like, doesn't actually sound like a great date. Now, this is all saying, I'm saying all of this, my core client base are people who want to get in relationships. If you're going to seek out a dating coach, usually you're not just looking to hook up. Like, you can find that. You'll find. But if you're looking for a relationship, you have to flip your mindset strategically, and you have to start with that, with the goals. If that is your goal, you're going to approach first dates in a different way. And I like for my clients to only stay for about 60 to 90 minutes, especially if you're meeting somebody online. Now, if you have history with them, that people always be like, but Damona, what about this scenario? Yeah. There's always exceptions. I'm just generally, if you're meeting a stranger, 60 to 90 minutes is enough time to leave the date on a high note. You want to leave the date feeling like it's ending in the middle and to be continued. And if it's not a great date, you want to leave the date feeling like it's in the middle.
Yes.
Because you want to get the hell out of there. Okay?
Right. It's a win-win. Time limits are a win-win.
Totally. I say be coming from somewhere and going to somewhere. But to answer your question, Krystyna, I actually got this question on the Drew Barrymore show last week. Somebody said, wait, what can I talk about on first date? Should I be talking about the fact that I want to get married and have kids and all this stuff? And I'm like, why are we pretending?
Right.
If somebody is not interested in that, it's better to know up front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think you'll scare away somebody that is looking for the same thing that you are.
You'll only scare away
usually when
person.
Yeah. And if you're vulnerable, whether it's that kind of share or something else, whether you're vulnerable, if you're vulnerable on a first date, usually you'll get a little bit more opening and vulnerability back. And that makes for a more interesting date. I mean, how tired is everybody of the same old interview? And we're really dating by rote, It's like swipe, 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 text, 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 go on the date and let me run this script. And everybody's bored of it.
I'm curious what you tell men, or can you see their swiping history? Because so often I have been on a subway in New York and I just see a guy swiping yes like he has a gun to his head. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then my follow-up question there is there a recommended amount of people you suggest a person talk to all at once? Like, because I feel like these dudes are talking to 20 girls. It's like, that's too many.
Too many, yeah.
That's too many. You're giving yourself choice overload, and then you're not giving anybody attention.
Yeah, because there's when you watch someone swipe yes to everyone, you're like, so you'll just
fuck anything?
Any breathing woman? Yeah, that sucks.
Okay. Let me pull back the curtain a little bit. Because I also have worked behind the scenes at a number of dating apps. I've worked with OkCupid as their official dating coach. I've worked with Match. I can see behind the curtain. And I'll tell you what's going on back there.
Yes, please.
People are hedging their bets. So the reason that you see guys swiping like they have a gun to their head is because they're not swiping. When they're swiping, it's strategic. There's no intention. It's not like, oh, I'm really attracted to her. I love what she said about her cats and her interest in comedy. They get so many no's or ignores or blocks that they are just trying to get as many people in queue as possible. So they know women swipe a lot more. They swipe right less frequently, far less frequently than men do. So they know that the chances are greater if they swipe right on more women, then it will match up when they have a woman that's interested in them. Then they go to the profile. So that's why you'll get a match and then an unmatch when you send the message and you start engaging. Do I like it? No. And for the longest time, this has actually been the strategy for a lot of my male clients, and I have to talk them out of it. This is one of the reasons why I feel like Hinge has grown in popularity so much over the last few years, because they force you to engage on a particular thing. It's not just swipe, swipe, swipe. It's, do you like this photo or do you like this photo? Can you comment on something specific that was said? And those are the kind of engagements that lead to more interaction and then ultimately get people offline, which is what we're all trying to do. Well, not all.
Right. So the guys just want to see who likes them, and then they'll pick from there. Which I feel like that's a little like distancing yourself from your own vulnerability, but I do get that. I do understand that.
It's actually more time.
I'm not saying they should.
It's like we're spending more time before we, as women, before we've even made a connection. So it's actually, they're working smarter, not harder. I'm going to have to credit them with that in a way. Well, you're right about Hinge. But the little time I've spent on dating apps, Hinge is definitely my favorite. And I would judge people, like if they were just liking my top photo and that's what they were engaging based on, I knew I wasn't interested in them and I knew they were being lazy. So even if the man's strategy was literally to just scroll to the bottom of the Hinge profile and engage on the last thing, they at least put one iota more thought into it, and I respected that. And of course, anyone who engaged on something I said rather than a picture, they moved to the top for me.
Yes, and they care about my thoughts.
Yeah, and what I was doing was like, I also, in the beginning of dating apps, I have a lot of masculine energy, so I was just getting excited, and like over swiping. And then I would be so disappointed with some of these matches. I was like, I would never go on a date with these people. And I was like, well, that's not fair to them. So I really challenged myself to only swipe if they responded, I would be truly happy to go on a date with them, not just would go begrudgingly or something like that. And I feel like that made it a lot better. Again, I haven't spent a lot of time. I had a boyfriend off Raya, so like it is possible, but I went on like 2 other dates from dating apps besides that, and they weren't horrific or anything, but I was completely disinterested in those people.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We put so much pressure on the dating apps because they are the way that people meet today. And so people will be like, well, I don't like meeting people on dating apps. And I'm feeling it as, it's like saying, well, I'm not going to go out to eat anymore because I didn't like that one restaurant.
The guy brings me the food on the end.
Yeah.
Right, I know. That's true. But it's really a combination, right? You go out to eat sometimes, you order in sometimes, you make your own food sometimes, and we have to be doing all of those things. But I did want to answer your question about how many people you should be talking to, because I do think there is a bit of a communication overwhelm that happens, especially, this is a shift since I started. Like when I started coaching, it was dating sites. It was before apps. So there wasn't the volume of people or the amount of communication. There was a lot more information on dating profiles in that time. So you could spend a little bit more time, as you were saying, Corinne, like going through the profile and making sure it was a match before. Now that information is not there. Like I could look at your profile and be like, cool, that's worth a swipe. But I can't really know that much about you from your profile. So now all of the screening, I kind of break it all into phases. So, first is the sourcing and then it's the screening. All of the screening is now happening in the DMs. And that is not a great way to get to know someone because our brains have not developed to be able to really evaluate what somebody's saying just based on the text alone. So I really push people towards getting on the phone, do a video call, or getting to the date. I'd say within 1 week.
Yes, I agree.
But you can't keep 20. You're right. You can't keep 20 text threads going. It's not realistic. But at the same time, I never want people to put all of their eggs in one basket. So you should be having multiple conversations, because a lot of them are not going to materialize, but not so many conversations where you're so overwhelmed you can't keep up with the flow.
Yeah.
Because timing is really important too. Like if you some of the apps, your matches will just disappear. It's
Right.
like, you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
But other apps, if you're paying for a premium, which is a time saver or a time extender, but some of the apps that you can have the conversations ongoing, if you don't have that first meeting within the first week, the likelihood that the date is going to actually happen goes down dramatically, and then you're just going to have to pen pal.
Yeah.
And it's too busy.
Yeah, I feel like I remember, I think I was talking to his wife I gave on this podcast, but it's like, oh, if you're a busy person, which we will, but like pick 2 nights out of the week or 3 nights out of the week that you're like, these are my date nights, or like one night, this is my date night, this is when I'm going to go on a date with a person, and then just, I'm a huge fan of just getting to the date right away if you match, but it's also important to have that swiping mentality of like, I would be excited, I would be excited if this person also swiped yes on me, so I would be like giddy, want to immediately grab a drink. Is there anywhere, what are good ideas for first dates and what are bad ideas for first dates?
Gun range.
No dinner. No.
Gun range, I love that.
The gun range.
Little bow and arrow.
That was kind of fun, actually. Okay, so I have some categories for dates that I think are fun, because you should go on a date that you would enjoy regardless of if that other person was there or not, because you have no idea how it's going to go. So I say it's good to have collaboration, something like you're playing a game together. Good to have cardio. Like, I live in LA, hiking is the thing. I know there are rural areas where some of my clients are like, wait, you told me to go hiking? I would never. Okay, me first. But if it's a place where there's other people out doing something where there's adrenaline, a walk, a hike, or something like that, sporting events, collaboration, cardio, conversation, all of these are good ways to make sure that the pressure isn't just on that script that we were talking about earlier. That you can have other inputs, you can have people watching, you can have a game that you're interacting with. So something like pool is a great first date.
Pool, she said.
Bowling is actually not a great date, even though I do love.
Why? What's wrong with bowling?
I love. Wait, but listen to this. This is the reality of a bowling first date. If it's just the two of you, one person is bowling while the other person is not.
There's a lot of talk.
So it's not. Yeah, cool, and then you can be in closer proximity to one another. I'm still a fan of drinks. Well, drink. I'm a fan of go out for drink. Yeah. Not so much where you're going to make decisions that are not in alignment with your ultimate goals and values, which we were talking about earlier. But it's easier to have a rapport, not just because of the alcohol, but because of the body positioning. If you go to dinner, you're sitting across from them like it's an interview. And like, how many times have you known from the first 10 minutes, like, this is not going to work? And you're like, and like dessert? No, thank you. Sure, we'd like dessert. And you're like, please somebody call me and get me off this date. Like, Mayday text under the table. Look, we have all done it. We have all done it.
Yes.
So, we don't want to set ourselves up for that. So I say be coming from somewhere and going to somewhere, but do something fun, an arcade, like anything where you can be, getting into that playful energy and that curiosity and having more to discuss than just the list.
And what is your advice if you are on one of those dates where within the 10 minutes you know this is not a match? Do you think that we owe the person 60 minutes out of politeness, or is there something that we can do to get out of it immediately? I'm not talking about a situation where we feel unsafe. I'm just feeling a situation where we feel not compatible.
You don't owe anyone anything, honey. We don't owe anyone our time. Our time is very valuable. It's our most precious, non-renewable resource.
Right.
We're not getting any more of it. So how you spend your time really matters. But I also believe in the fairy tale, empathetic dating.
Right.
So if you could just flip and put yourself in that person's shoes, what is enough time where you're not wasting their time, but they feel like they've at least been seen, heard, and been offered the opportunity to connect.
Right.
If you've done that, in fact, it happened. Like I had one date when I was single. We got there, and it just wasn't a thing. Like 20 minutes in, it was just not happening. And he was like, "Do you want to go? I'm sorry, but I feel like you want to go. I feel like this isn't a match." And I was like, "Thank you." I was so glad. I wish I had been the brave one to say it, but I was so glad, because then I was like, I have the rest of my evening free. Go back online, find the next one for tomorrow night, and we both saved each other's time because it wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's so funny. Ironically, I probably think that's really sexy.
Yeah.
If he said it first, I'd be like, wow,
Like,
that's a
now I'm
really
interested.
astute observation. You must have a really nice mind. Yeah. No, that's
Krystyna.
Okay, I know.
I'm not going to analyze.
What's the worst first date you've ever been on, or dates in general? But I imagine that the newer ones go the worst.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been married for so long. I'm like, what was a bad first date? Well, I did drive a guy home one time who told me that he and his wife were separated. And turns out, if they were separated, I don't know why she was on the front lawn. So that didn't go so great.
Oh my God.
What had happened when that happened?
What happened? Yeah, you gotta check reference thing. Oh no, I was like, goodbye, and like, you deal with that. Get out of the car, and that is your problem to deal with, because if you're not being honest, that's your own stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Do you think that was wrong? I made it take off.
No, I would have done that immediately. I'd be like, I'm out. Honestly, because I'm a
I didn't even
comedian.
stop the car.
Yeah.
I just booted it. Kept going. No, I'm kidding.
Well, because
I was
I'm
like,
a stand-up, I would have stayed around. Yeah, I'd be very curious. I'm like, what's going on here? And I'd almost want to enjoy. Yeah, like watching him sit in his lie would probably give me a lot of joy.
Look, you don't know who is like concealed carry. You don't know what is going on.
I know.
I was like, I'm out of here.
That's good. That's good. That's wiser.
Have you seen, like, so there's been a lot more, like, a rise, I feel like, in non-traditional dating structure, or like non-monogamy. Has that been something that you've had to deal with a little bit more in modern times dating? And like, how do you deal with pairing someone up if they're interested in like ethical non-monogamy or open relationships, that kind of thing? Or are you dealing more with people who want to be monogamous?
Most of my clients want to be monogamous.
Mm-hmm.
I do study all of the current data and trends, and non-monogamy is trending, especially among Gen Z singles who say over 60% say they're open to non-monogamy. But then the reality is about 4% actually engage in non-monogamy. So there's a little bit of mismatch, between like fantasy versus reality. But I'm like, look, whatever you want, that's what I try to help people achieve. And that's where that authenticity we're talking about comes in. Just being honest about it. If you are looking for a non-monogamous relationship, that's the kind of thing you do want to say. We're talking about the goals and values. You should probably say that on the first date. The problem comes in when people, like said guy, are not being transparent about what they're really looking for, what their situation really is. But there's so many apps now also that cater to that specifically. So that would just be my advice to anyone that's in the non-monogamy community, is to not be in a place where you're leaving anybody confused.
Right. I think that's like one of the things that I've definitely gotten better at as I've gotten older too. Like in my 20s, I would just be like, if I like someone's vibe, like it's almost like you don't ask the hard questions because you just want to keep hanging out with their energy. When in my 30s, it's like, I can like your vibe all day, but if we don't have the same wants for the future, if we're not aligned on like our core values, then no matter how much I like your vibe, like we got to cut this short because it's just not going to work out long term. And then I'm going to end up falling in love with someone who just doesn't see the world in the way I do at all. And I think that's like a lot of like people right into our show. Yeah, just like are going off vibe, and I'm like, what do you even know about each other?
Yeah, and you will fall in love with that person because the more time you spend with them, the more hormonal release that you have. I'm not saying sexual necessarily,
Sure.
but it could be. But there is that energetic exchange. Even from a text, we get the adrenaline and endorphins and the dopamine, and like our bodies are flooded with these neurotransmitters that are telling us, fall in love, fall in love, fall in love. You want more of that? Like we're addicted. We're addicted to that feeling, and at some point you have to look up, as addicts, as many of my listeners and clients are, as love addicts, we need to look up and say, wait, is this what I want? And do I want to be doing this? Do I want to be a love addict for 20 years? Do I want to be like doing this roller coaster ride of highs and lows and highs and lows? Or do I need to do this a little bit more mindfully? And do I need to put a process around it? Because it's most times not going to fix itself. In the current dating landscape, we can be nostalgic for the past. Like, oh, I just wanted to meet somebody in my neighborhood or at a party or casually. We have these stories that we want to come true.
Mm-hmm.
And they might come true, but they might not. The entire dating world has shifted. The way we do everything in our lives has shifted, and we communicate online and we connect online. So we need to embrace that there's a different way to interact in the new dating paradigm. And the quicker that we do that, and the clearer we are about how we want to navigate that, the happier we are going to be in the relationships that ultimately unfold, short-term or long-term.
Wow, you just changed my perspective on dating. So it's not doom and gloom like I kind of assumed it was. Yeah, no, it's just like the change that we need to administer to this thing that's never going to go away is how we deal with it, how we interact with it. I totally agree. Sex. I was want to talk about sex. Do you have, like, Patty Stanger very famously is like, don't fuck on the first date. Or no, she makes you wait.
Until you have an actual commitment, like till the person
like
commits to you. She said you can't have sex with the person. Yeah.
Do you do any advising on that, or how, like, conversational tips, or how to, like, like with sexual compatibility, sometimes you don't know until you're actually having sex a lot of times. But also there's ways that you can talk about sex and about what you like at a certain time when it's appropriate. And then my follow-up question is, like, when is it appropriate? I don't know. Like, I guess if you want to rip each other's clothes off right away, maybe you should talk about what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have any hard or fast rules. Sorry, but I don't have any specific rules. I'm not actually a big rules dating coach.
Yeah,
I like tool rules. So I will say to my clients, look, there's a lot of consequences to having sex today, like for real, particularly for women. And I'm not going to turn this into a political episode. However, there are a lot of consequences for women now. So if you are feeling all the vibes and you want to be intimate with someone, but you're not at a point where you feel like you could have any of those serious conversations about the consequences of having sex with that person, then I would say you're probably not ready to have sex with that person.
Most people,
and that's the rule for me.
Yeah, like if you can't have the
totally.
When was the last time you tested for STIs?
Right.
What would you do if I got pregnant and I didn't want the baby? Like, I don't fuck anybody until I know there's an abortion, or I did want the baby. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're gonna keep it. They're like, thank you very much and good night.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to have those adult conversations, and you can get caught up in the vibes all you want, but the reality is that there are some serious consequences that we don't, that it's not sexy to talk about it, but can we make it sexy? Like, can we normalize talking about like being on prep, or can we normalize talking about like,
do you know what's sexy though? Is being comfortable about it. That's sexy. Because I always tell people like,
and I was gonna say also like in terms of asking for consent too. Like you could totally ask for consent, sexy. But go on.
Well, yeah, like the times that I've witnessed people not be insecure about a thing that I would be insecure about if I were them. And then it's like my potential insecurity over that thing just vanishes, and I'm like, oh, all we need is an example of like someone to like, if someone starts off a conversation and they're like, hey, my sexual health is really important to me, and I wanted to ask when was the last time you were tested. Just like it's not a fucking big deal. Then it's like, not only are you comfortable, but that's so hot. When somebody can treat an uncomfortable conversation with ease is so sexy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you do it for like a big broad thing too. Like, I love when an unattractive guy is just like, I'm ugly and I don't care. Like, saying something
It's
that broad is incredible. I'll take my clothes off right now. Such a smart strategy.
It's how Pete Davidson gets all of his chicks.
Yeah. Like, lean in, baby. I love it.
Yeah. The more authentic we can be, and the more we can be brave about asking for what we want, or asking the right questions, the important questions, and just being unapologetically who we are, I think the more connected we're going to feel.
Yeah. Bravery is so hot. Ugh, okay.
I think one of the last things I wanted to cover with you is bias in dating when it comes to race, class, gender, and you said that you challenge readers of your book to interrogate their race, class, and gender biases. And I also want to add in there like ableist, like, because every now and then just like, people write in like, how do I reveal that I'm in a wheelchair? And I'm like, I don't know how. I don't even know the answer to this. So, what are your thoughts on interrogating your own biases when it comes to dating?
I'm realizing that word interrogate sounds very aggressive.
No, I love interrogate. I don't think of it that way.
No,
but
I love the word interrogate, because it's like brass tacks. Like, if this means a lot to you, fucking make sure that you're cool with what you are putting out there and what you value.
Interrogating yourself is great. Interrogating other people on a date, not great. Yeah. Interrogating yourself, fine.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and this actually kind of came up before I wrote the book. In June of 2020, I don't know if you remember that time.
Yeah,
I have a vague memory.
In the world, or in the United States particularly, but there was a lot of talk about race.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my matchmaker friends, we all collaborate with one another, and share kind of